Okay, wait. I want to tell you something.
What?
I made a decision.
What?
I'm going to buy a fake fiddle fig tree.
Oh, Rebecca, are you recording?
As long as you're hearing us through your AirPods from the computer, the phone can just be next to you.
No, I was saying to Casey, Busy, that we should all be so good at this by now, even if we're not sound professionals. And yet still, I feel like I appreciate and respect the stubbornness to not get good at it.
Yeah.
It does.
Right?
It's like a very particular person that's like,
right.
No.
I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Right? I'm going to hold out until I can actually talk to people.
To be honest, though, it was like, it's been very confusing for me because I perform in those like thrilling adventure hour shows and with a lot of professional voiceover artists and things.
Yeah.
And like, they all had it. They all know their stuff. But like, in order to use your good microphone and run it through your Zoom so that the person on the other end gets this sound.
Yeah.
You can't have an SD card in here. You can't be using this as a recording device. You just have to plug it in differently through your computer. So when I would do the Thrilling Adventure Hour shows, until I knew that, I was just like, I heard good sound and I was like running it through my Zoom. But you guys are just hearing me through my computer speakers. But I'm recording good sound. Why is it so difficult? No, I don't. I have no need for this information at all. But then, you know, like doing other people's podcasts, like doing these live shows that I've done. All of my press for Girls Five Eva, doing the Sirius XM like radio tours and all of that stuff. Like, it actually has been really helpful to know now how to do this, because I don't also just like, you can't rely on other people, like your, you know, assistants or significant others.
Is your assistant listening?
No, he's good, but he knows, like, but even he like didn't know about hooking the sound. You have to do this thing differently to get the sound from this mic onto someone else's computer so they can record it.
Yeah,
you know
or he might not be there.
Or he might not be there.
Yeah.
Because, you know, there's stuff. Yeah. There's other stuff. I need a salad.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right? Exactly. Or a latte. Right. Of course. I mean,
obviously.
There's always a latte to be gotten.
There's always a latte.
Yeah.
All right. Well, guys, we're already having fun. And we're just getting started. Hi, everybody. It's me. It's Busy Phillips. This is Busy Phillips is doing her best. I think we're all doing our best. I hope we're all doing our best. I know that my friend Casey St. Anne just had better days.
Oh, my Lord.
I know this because we're friends, IRL. And I had to send her flowers this past week because I just was like, listen, sometimes you got to send a friend flowers when you just know that they're going through it.
You had to.
Can I tell you how much I love that and how much I do that? I actually do that regularly. Send flowers to friends. I love it. I'm a huge proponent of sending flowers.
Well, guys, that voice you heard, you don't know yet, but you're about to. This is our guest host, Rebecca Carroll, who is the author of the memoir Surviving the White Gaze, about transracial adoption and the harrowing search for her racial identity. Literally everyone in the world has raved about your book. Everyone. Trevor Noah called you a cultural icon.
I know. How amazing is that? That was the one when we were talking about learning all of this, like, Zoom equipment. Like, I did my whole tour virtually, as you were just talking about doing all your press virtually. And that was the one show that I would have loved to have done in real life. Like, everything else was cool because it's like, you know, you do your Zoom. What's that?
So you could have just looked at his dreamy face.
Looked at his dreamy face and just sort of like, yes.
He looked really cute in that interview.
He is really cute, guys.
He is really cute, but he looked particularly cute on that virtual Rebecca Carroll.
I know
interview.
he looks good that now that he's doing his hair, like his fro is on point. Like
Not to objectify Trevor.
I'm okay. Listen, you know what? I'm okay with it because as a woman who's been in media since I was a teenager, I just feel like it's fine to objectify men sometimes because maybe that's wrong. Maybe
We got
it
a
is
little
wrong. I don't
catching
know.
up. We got some catching up
I just
to
feel
do.
like
we have a
it's-
reserve.
I feel like yes, exactly. Thank you. Also, he's the perfect person sort of to objectify because he's so smart and interesting and objectively gorgeous.
Yeah.
Well,
He's not a dummy, you know.
which I mean, it's like not so we can objectify intelligent people, but
I guess
not dum-dums.
I mean, listen.
He
could have rocks in his brains and he'd still be pretty cute.
Well, right. But also, I mean, I think it's okay to think that he's an attractive, handsome individual. That's not necessarily objectifying
Okay,
him.
there you go. Right, we're not objectifying him. I'm not objectifying him. Although I do think he's kind of dreamy. I've seen him in person a few times. I saw him at like an Emmy party a few years ago, and I was just like kind of gazing at him from afar.
Same.
You didn't talk to him?
I don't think so. I think I might have said hi. I can't remember. I sort of black out at those things, like not because of drinking, like because,
but also because of drinking.
but
a little
also
bit.
because I'm also a little bit because of drinking. No, but like Rebecca, I'm sure that in your day you've moved in some fancy circles and been in some parties, and I don't know how comfortable you are in them, but I feel like it's the universal thing that no matter who you are, wherever, no one is comfortable in those things, and you're all just like kind of wandering around. Do you have a different experience?
I have sort of a schizophrenic feeling about it. Like, I fucking love the idea of it, and I love the room of it and the space and everybody dressed up, and like I love the glamour of it. But I do think that you are right that being in a room where everybody is sort of like, I'm doing this because I'm supposed to do this and because people have expectations of how I'm supposed to be doing this. And I don't really know if I should have more than one drink, or maybe I've had too many drinks. And should I talk to this person that I've never met before? So I totally, totally agree. But I do love the glamour of it.
I've never done a cool thing. I've never done a cool thing at one of those parties. One time I was invited. I was in LA for work in the 1990s. It was what I'm so tired, you guys. What was the Ben Stiller Reality Bites? Ben Stiller Reality Bites was just about to come out, and I was invited to a fancy party at a fancy person's house, and like this is the era. I'm dating myself. Gary Shandling was there, who I knew Gary Shandling a little bit because of he knew my boss, and then I saw Ben Stiller, who was like the cool guy, and
very
I was
cool
like,
in that moment.
Yeah, very cool in that moment. Still cool, and I was
Still
like,
cool, but
I'm not gonna I'm a big comedy fan. I'm not gonna make a big deal out of Ben Stiller. I'm just gonna stand here and be cool. And like Sheryl Crow, I think, was at this party. Everyone who was cool in that moment was at this party. And suddenly tap, tap, tap on my shoulder, and I turned around and it was Ben Stiller. And he said, "Hey, I'm Ben. I think I know you from somewhere." And I said,
he didn't.
Yeah, he did. And I said, "Oh my God, I love your mom."
That's an appropriate answer, though.
Honest,
actually.
I was gonna say correct answer.
Yeah, that is the correct answer. Okay, two things about that. One, I am that person though that will go up to somebody. Like I remember at one of the events that I don't want to date myself either, but maybe 10 years ago. But Chris Rock was at a thing. And I was like, Chris Rock is here. How can I not go and talk to Chris Rock? How can I not go and say, Chris Rock, hi, you're Chris Rock. But but it turns out celebrities don't love that if you're not a celebrity. Right. That's the first thing. The second thing is I can't believe you brought up Reality Bites because my son just introduced me to Stranger Things.
Oh, sure.
And the fact that Winona Ryder is like having this like second coming and is playing this part that is so like everything and not right.
Yeah.
Like
right.
It's something you've not seen before, and yet you recognize her a little bit. I'm 100%.
it's like so essentially Winona Ryder. She's
exactly.
She's just
There's
always
some
very
essence of her there.
ethereal. Yeah.
Yes.
Just essential Winona Ryder. It's like, I'm trying to describe it. Like maybe Busy as an actress, you can describe it. It's like the way that her jaw is like always open and she looks like she wonders what's going on. Like it's always.
I had an acting teacher once that called that the carp. Don't look like a carp.
But it works for her.
Like it does work for her. But
Winona
I do think that
forever.
there is Winona forever. There is a thing that happens though sometimes when like certain actors where they have their mouth open and it is carpish. Carp.
Yeah.
Carp like the
I
fish
feel
guys.
Like she has like this essential determination.
Essential determination is kind of an amazing saying. Essential determination. I think I have an essential determination.
You have an essential
Like as a
determination
person.
in terms of like ambition and creativity, right?
Thanks.
And the things that you want to do. Like I think her character acting, if you call it that, I don't know, but every role she has played, even if it's Beetlejuice or Heathers, like you can see this kind of essential determination in the character.
Yeah.
I think she brings that to everything she does.
Yeah.
I am
obviously,
happy.
you also have an essential determination, Rebecca
Yes.
Carroll. It's in your book, Surviving.
Did you read it?
The White Gaze. Yeah.
I didn't get to read it yet. But Casey read it, but I didn't read it, and I'm just being honest about it because I hate lying about things.
Same.
Number one,
Same.
and also number two, I really do want to read it, and I'm going to. It just doesn't
No,
happen.
I appreciate that.
Before
I really do.
from the time when I found out we were going to get to have you as our special guest host, and this moment right now, I did not. I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
There was a lot happening.
I understand. It's totally fine. I'm glad that you said that because I would keep referencing the book and I'd be like, did you read it? Did you not read that, Busy?
Listen,
I like that you asked.
I have to say something. I am like never. I mean, I really want to. I'm going to read the book, and everyone at home, you should also get it and read it. I'm excited to read it. I just like we had Casey Wilson on a few weeks ago for her book, and she's a friend of mine, and I had to call her in the morning, and I was like, "Can we push 2 hours? Because I didn't finish your book, and I can't talk to you about your book. You're coming on to talk about your book, and I cannot talk to you about your book especially because I know you so well, but also because I've written a book and I know how fucking hard it is, and I don't want to like fake it. So I'm just being honest with you." And she was like, "Oh my God, you don't even have to read it." I was like, "Casey, don't do that."
No, I'm not going to say that. I want you to read it.
I want to read it.
And I want to hear from you after you read it.
You will.
Okay.
I'll probably be
good.
crying. I'll probably cry.
There's
a
some
lot.
moments. There's definitely some moments that are a little tear jerky. There's also some funny moments. And there's also some very bizarre moments. Aren't there, Casey?
How long did it take you to write your memoir?
So here's the thing, like
exploration.
I had been an avid journal writer from the time I was like 10 or 11. Obviously not that interesting at the 10 or 11 age. It was Dear Diary. I went to ballet class. Good night. Right. That was the entry of a diary. But then as I got into my teens and started to wrestle with a lot of fucked up stuff, which we all do, I wrote more intensely. So I have like volumes and volumes of journals that I used as references. And I actually thought it was going to be a whole lot easier because of all of these journals. It was somewhat easier, but it turns out writing a memoir is not just about like connecting like journal entries.
Right.
It's a real craft. So I would say from start to finish, it took me a year.
That was about the same for me. And did you love your editor?
Yes, I did.
And
I didn't love her at first. I loved her.
Interesting.
Well, I loved her because there was a bidding war. I don't mind saying for the proposal.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. Did you did like a proposal, and did you write did you write a portion of the book, and that was part of it?
I worked on the proposal as long as I worked on the book.
Wow.
Like I also have an amazing agent, literary agent, and she just kept sending it back and saying, we're almost there. So I worked really, really hard on the proposal, and then we had a bidding war, and so there was these 3 editors who I really, really liked at major publishing houses, and finally went with the editor that I went with, and then I sort of like after my first draft, when she sent back her notes, I kind of hated her, right? But I think that is pretty normal.
I think so.
Because she, of course, they rave when they're trying to buy your book. They rave about your proposal, and so then when she sent me back her notes that were like, I don't really know what you're trying to say here. I'm like, fuck you. Yes, you do.
Right. Then what are we? You're like, then what are we doing here?
Exactly.
Yeah. Then why am I here? I get so angry.
You take it
What do
very
you want from
personally.
me? I take it so
Yeah.
personally.
Yeah.
It's hard not to. First of all, it's not just your
It's your
writing;
life.
it's your life. So you're like, what are we like? What are you talking about? Like what?
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
It's interesting for me in book writing. I've never written a memoir, but I've obviously worked in doing books for other people and a couple books for myself. And after years in TV, writing for other people and writing daily TV for other people, and just being told, like you just get told like what to do. It was a very unique experience for me to have someone say like, well, here's what I would do, but like, you can take it or leave it. Like it's your book. And I would be like, what? Like that was very weird for me. And I'd be like, no, you have to tell me what to do though. But like, tell me, like you must tell me, and then my editor would be like, no, I cannot tell you. It is your decision. You must decide. And I was just like, melted into a pile of indecision and upsetness.
I think for me with my editor, and I don't know, Rebecca, how you worked with yours, but like I was looking for someone to help me sort of cull and shape some portions, some stories. You know what I mean? Like, or some of it. Did you write it chronologically? How does your brain work? Did you have to go from like the beginning to the present?
Well, I didn't go to the present. I went to until I met my husband, and then I had my son. Because that's the full circle of it. My son will be 16 in July, and my husband and I have been married for 17 years. And so it stopped at that point because the last 17 years are what allowed me to write the first chunk, right? And I had to start from the beginning because the beginning was the white gaze. Like I grew up in I was adopted by hippie white artist parents and raised in rural New Hampshire. And the first 6 years of my life were in this huge farmhouse on top of a dirt hill road with acres of natural world and gardens. And we ate outside dinners in the evening, and it was absolutely idyllic and dreamy. And that was the white gaze, right? So that sort of bubble served my brother and sister, their biological children, when we moved out of that bubble. But it didn't serve me because it didn't prepare me for what would very soon become clearly, the way in which I was perceived and the subject and target of racism.
Right.
Yeah. So I started there so that people could see and really like absorb how idyllic it is while also realizing how complicit they are. Right. And seeing how like, oh my God, there are no Black people here except for this child that's been brought into this family in this world. And they love her. They loved me, but they're not protecting her or giving her the tools for the day that her fifth grade teacher tells her, not just that she's pretty for a Black girl, but that most Black girls are really ugly.
Oh my God.
Oh, Jesus.
So, the first of many of those incidents where I was like, what is that? Like, what even is that? And it took a long time before I had the language to contextualize it.
And here's a question I have for you first, like with your white parents, I'm assuming it never occurred to them.
You are correct.
Right?
You are correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is just not a part of what did they grapple with it? Did they come to terms, or did it, You know
they're
what I
not
mean?
real grapplers.
No. Okay.
They're not
Interesting.
real grapplers.
Interesting.
My dad is, has an ego the size of a small country, and was very pointed and specific about the world in which he was going to curate and make for his family. And my mom, an incredibly loving, talented, beautiful, wonderful person, sort of was into that,
Yeah.
and so, and that's their relationship. And so that's the way that they raised us, the way they wanted to see us. And, as a parent, Busy, I know that you must understand, and how we have to struggle if we are engaged in a certain way with how we see our children, how they want to be seen, and to not project our expectations on them.
Right.
But, as I say, my parents were not real grapplers. They also weren't real into parenting, right? They were
because we're the same generation, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, Gen X, like we have the parents that were like, I mean, you're good.
Here's some combos.
You're good. Right?
Yeah, you're good. I know. I mean, combos. My mom, like, literally, my mom's gonna be listening to this, and she'll call me and she'll be like, "That is not true, Elizabeth." But like, we had just like I just like made my own nachos after school. Like, it wasn't the same as the parents of millennials, and then now what we are,
What we're doing. Yeah.
Our kids, which is like, I feel like I am constantly battling my instincts from how my parents, like the things that are just sort of like inborn in me from the way that my parents were disengaged. And then my other instinct, which is like to be a helicopter, like how the millennials were. But I know that that's not great either. So I'm like constantly questioning my parenting. And
but I think that's part of parenting, though.
Correct.
That is part of parenting, is constantly questioning it, right? My son is reading my memoir now for the first time.
Interesting.
And had some issues with something in it. I think I tweeted that, like, I had to take a moment to mourn the fact that I'm not like Beyonce when her memoir comes out, and I can respond just by saying, you know what, I'm Beyonce, so that's why I did that. But instead, he asked me something very personal, and I brought it up in therapy, and she said, no, well, that's a good sign. That's a sign of secure attachment, like good parenting, that he felt he could say that to you. So it's like, I think there are things that we should have in place as parents, but that we also have to, grapple or challenge or interrogate what we're doing and how we're doing it pretty much every day.
One thing I've been really proud of right from the jump is that I feel like I caught on really soon, really quickly, to like, this kid isn't like anything I thought he was going to be like.
How many kids do you have?
I have 2 boys, and they're
men. Older.
They're men. They're 21 and 19.
How is that possible?
It happened,
when you were 13, 14?
One was a surprise and a little bit younger than a lot of my contemporaries. And then, but just caught on really quickly. Like, this is, even when he was really little, like, this is his life. Like, how am I going to help him live his life? You know what I mean? And so, I've always had this phrase in my mind, because people constantly talk about helicopter parenting, and trying to avoid being a helicopter. And I always keep the phrase in mind: try to be a net, not a helicopter. So I try to let them make their own mistakes and catch them like right underneath that mistake,
I do, and I love that. And of course, I don't want to turn this into like a too serious note, but of course, it's different raising a Black boy.
Of course,
and the way in which I don't want to frighten him, but I also want him to be prepared.
Yes,
and I have to, every time he walks out the door, I have to like do some breathing, while also keeping it together. I mean, but that's the universal thing, right? about being a
Rebecca,
parent, is keeping it together.
So I do not have a Black child, but and obviously not the same. But I have a non-binary gay child, and I've had discussions with some of my Black friends that like that must be this is what I'm feeling now when I get hate messages. Like I get them, toward me from on Instagram or whatever in the world about my kid, and sending this kid into the world knowing that there's like a portion of people that are going to hate them based just on who they are is. It's been really difficult. This is the first time like I've had to think. I didn't think about it when Birdie was born. I didn't think about it for the first, 11 years of their life or whatever. And now I'm like being faced with this. And I have to say it is like super fucking overwhelming to know that people will want to harm your child just based on who they are. Like it is. And you can't, and like, as much as I could ever want to be like empathetic, I still don't even know what it is because, Birdie presents like a cisgender little girl right now, and that might change as they get older. But like, I don't even know how you send your son into the world. Like, I actually just don't know.
So to bring it full circle, though, it's really the reason I wrote the book, which is that in 2014, when Michael Brown was shot, my son was 8, and he said, "Mom, are you going to get shot?" And then he said, "Am I going to get shot?" And I would tell you, the culmination of the ferocity and rage and protectiveness, all those feelings, and also the sort of nonchalance in which my parents sort of moved through the world without thinking how in danger I was.
Always.
Yeah. I had never felt anything like it. And it was then that I thought, I need to process this, and I need to excavate this, and I need to do it for my kid. This book is for him.
Yeah. Rebecca, I was having a conversation with someone in my family. Those conversations that you have with someone in your family. And I was proud of them for actually having the conversation because that's not always how that goes. And it's one of those things where you try to articulate, we can never know. We can never know what it's like. All we can do is listen.
Yep.
But they were saying like, well, explain to me. Like I'm trying to explain like what our privilege is and I was saying, remember the way that you felt when you sent your son to be in a war? Remember the way that you hoped it would be okay, but you weren't sure? That's every morning. That's every morning for some people.
Yeah.
Every morning of their life. And so, and remember how unfair it probably felt when you looked at other people whose sons weren't going to a war.
Yeah. That's a very, very smart analogy, Casey.
Yeah, it really is. And I've never heard that before, but that's like exactly fucking it, isn't it?
I'm just going to point people to you now, Casey, because I'm tired. I'm really tired.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I'm always so happy when someone's trying to, wants to have that conversation. And, and I get nervous sometimes that I'm going to like fuck up and say it wrong. But
well, speaking of which, so Mark and we live in New York now, Rebecca.
Yes. And well, I'm here in Bed-Stuy. Hey.
Oh, hi. We could be friends.
Yeah. Yay.
Mark and I were walking through Chelsea on Sunday afternoon. And outside of a restaurant, there was like a Black man in his, he looked like he was probably in his 20s, maybe 30s, on his knees, white police officers. And everybody just kept walking, 2 cars, 2 police cars. And I was like, we have to do the thing. We have to
take the
stand
video.
here. Well, we have to stand here and and wait and just see what happens. And wait, and we just have to stand here and watch. Cause I didn't want to, by the way. It was fucking uncomfortable and I hated it. 2 other people were taking videos. One young man and then this older, grandma-y woman.
But in that scenario, Busy, at what point do you feel like it's okay to then walk away? When he gets unhandcuffed, when he gets in the car,
okay, by the way, 8 officers, all of them were white and big. I don't know what we weren't there for what happened before, right? When we got there, police cars were still showing up and it was 4 officers on him and he was on his knees handcuffed on the ground, right? But sitting up or on his knees. And so we stood, but we were the first people to stop. And I just was we're just going to stand here and just stand here across the street, and just look and watch the officers and just we have our phones out and, whatever. Mm-hmm. And then this guy came, a younger guy came and he started filming it. And I was oh, good, he's filming it. So he looks, and he was getting all their license plates and stuff. Oh, I asked Mark to take a picture of the cop cars and the police officers. So Mark took a picture of the officers, just a fucking in case. But I just was so then an ambulance came and the fireman came and then they took him up and then he got into the ambulance. They closed the doors and the fireman took him away, but he was still cuffed.
Yeah.
But I do think he was having some sort of break, something had happened. Right. And then the guys at the restaurant, after they were leaving and we were walking away, the guys at the restaurant were talking about it, the bouncers at the restaurant. Mm-hmm. And they were he was it was crazy. They were going on and on.
Right.
But I just felt I didn't know if it was the right thing. I swear to God, I didn't know if it was the right thing to do, but I also felt I guess we kind of we have to do. I felt we have to do that now, in terms of.
Yeah,
a lot of people were just kept walking, not paying attention.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to know which thing is the better thing, right? Which is that keep walking or stand there and then have it be the spectacle that it always has been, right? Where Black bodies and Black men and Black women are, the brutality and the cruelty is a spectacle.
Right.
I was going to say that people have been stopping and staring at these things throughout history. So, I mean, people are going to stop and stare no matter what. So I feel if your reasoning is good, I just always feel don't let anyone go through something alone. If you can.
Yeah,
well, if you
I
can,
think that's right. And I think to bear witness and also to make sure that they weren't, that it didn't have their knee on his neck. I mean, you know what I mean?
Right.
That's...
Well, and I felt I was there as much as to fucking look at those cops and be just so you I didn't
Right.
My heart my heart went out for the guy whatever he was going through obviously but I just wanted those fucking police officers to know that they all eyes are on you right now, dudes. That's just and you're gonna have to do better.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to have to get rid of them completely. But then at the end, when I was just I just kept count. I was why are there, Mark, 8 giant white dudes? This one guy cuffed already on his knees on the ground. Why are there 4 police cars and 8?
But you know why.
I know. But it just was to me, I was just this is fucking insane. This is so insane to bear witness to,
Yeah.
It was.
I would say that the one, like, I'm not going to say silver lining because that would be preposterous, but the one thing that this moment in time, this racial reckoning, that you stood there with Mark and were like, how do I make sense of this? Like, people are doing that more, and white people are doing that more, and I'm very glad to hear that. And then I will promptly point them to Casey to explain her analogy, and I will just go take a bath because that's where I'm at.
And good, and as well you should. I love baths.
Yes, I do too.
A real bath bitch.
And do point them to me, because I just feel like at this point, like, yes, I, as a white lady, I'm scared to fuck up, but it doesn't mean that I'm not gonna try. It doesn't mean I'm not gonna try. And, we have to keep trying. And so, like, to you, Busy, you're saying like you weren't sure if you were doing the right thing. You knew why you were there. Yeah. And so that is the right thing. And if somebody thought that you were fucking up, then okay.
Which is different. And I think that this is really important, and feel free to use this now at Casey in your workbook. But the difference is, like, between intention and also knowing who you are and where your morality, your sense of moral, your moral standards, your moral compass, where that is, right? Because I hate it when people are like, well, I'm sure her intentions were great. Yeah, I'm sure they were. That has nothing to do with anything. What is your moral compass, actually? And so, Casey, when you said, Busy, you knew why you were there. You knew what you were looking at. You knew why, and you're still trying to grapple with it. And that is, I'm just going to use grapple throughout this whole.
I love grapple.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's what it means to have a moral compass, is to try to figure it out.
Woo! It's been
deep. It is, but it's also, I think that it's like, listen, we're in a time that is fucking deep. There's we're dealing with it. It has to be. It has to be. It has to be. Like, we were lucky enough to have Elizabeth Warren on the show 2 weeks ago. And she was really inspiring, because she was like, the door is open just a crack, and we have to put our shoulder in, and everybody's got to do the thing that is hard, but also we have this opportunity. It's a small opportunity, but we have it.
My analogy to her door crack is the window is about this much further open, and I'm just jamming shit through there, like just jamming it through as so long as it stays open, because we don't know when it's going to come back down, or if we're going to be able to send it back, to put it up a little bit, lift it up a little higher.
Right.
Along that, I mean, also just like shit in the world has been really hard this past week.
Mm-hmm. Should we say what we're doing our best at, so that we can get to that good part? Stuff? Yeah. Say what we're doing our best at. Yeah, let's get to the good stuff or the bad stuff.
Okay, you do it. What are you doing your best at?
Well, you already said you started the podcast by being like, this bitch is not good. She's not.
What happened?
She's not great. Can I tell you, this is how not best I am doing. I opened my email this morning, and I had a response email from my agent that just said in all caps, Jesus. And I was like, I didn't remember sending an email to my agent. And I was like, oh no, what did I say?
What happened?
I had just like, in my tiredness from this like job that I'm doing, had written like, I guess like I probably meant to like write like my feelings down in an email that I didn't send, but then I did send it. And then, and then, and it was a very, it was wowie, wow. That email was wowie, wow. That's what.
Okay.
But so what are you doing your best at? Yeah. So she's had a week.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got like a mouth guard to stop grinding my teeth. So that's good. And I'm getting good at like using it, and I'm trying to like you can't put it in too soon. because it's big and bulky. And so I'm trying to like get good about just popping it in right at the last second before I doze off. Which, you know, sometimes you make it and sometimes you don't, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to like hold on to it and then put it in at the last second, which is like, I can tell you from how many times I make it versus how many times I don't make it. It's a really good thing that I never tried to use a diaphragm as birth control because I don't always make it. But
I mean,
They were the worst.
I
They
use
were
a
the
Diva
worst.
cup for my period. Yeah, I love it.
well,
Oh.
I mean, that's a little bit of a different situation. That's an ongoing. But anyway, yeah, so mouth guard so I don't like grind my teeth, and so that's good. I feel like I've cut down on grinding by, let's say, 60%.
So unclear. Doing your best is not what you're trying at, but what you're acing.
No, you could try. You could be trying.
You can fail.
And not necessarily
Yeah.
doing. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I feel like what I had in mind for this is that I'm doing my best at trying to manage my expectations for what success means.
Great.
And
this is great.
And I'm also, tomorrow's my birthday, and I'm not turning 35. I can tell you that. So, you know, and what success looks like, and I'm just really trying my best at living in the gratitude for where I am. And I don't know, I would love to hear, Busy, from you about how you think about success and how you measure it and how you gauge it. And we've done a lot of similar things and had like just in terms, I mean, I'm not an actress, obviously, but you know, yet, I mean, who
Why
knows?
not?
Good.
We don't
Happy
know.
birthday, by the way.
Yeah.
Happy early
Yeah.
birthday.
Thank you.
Happy early birthday.
Yeah.
Well, I do think it's like a thing that evolves over time. And I think as you get older, I think the ideas of what success is changes, don't you? I think
I do.
when I was younger, I had very specific ideas and very lofty ideas
Sure. Oh,
about
for sure.
what success would be, what it would look like, and how I would get
How
it.
you wanted it to look. How you
I
wanted it to
wanted
look,
it.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you get a bit older and you're like, oh, yeah, I know. I mean, that seems crazy. I guess in terms of, you know, there are certain things that I think like you get pressure gets put on you, and like your editor for a book, you know, they're just like, you have to be on the New York Times bestseller list, you know,
Right.
like that kind of thing.
Yeah,
But you have no fucking
exactly.
control over that. Also, like launching a book in this time is so weird because you can't even do a book tour, which is like how most people get on the New York Times bestseller list because they sell the books in person.
Yeah.
And anyway,
Yeah.
and it's all politics anyway. And then like, what does it even mean?
And it's also so weird.
does
Like, I
it
think
matter?
The best analogy that I can think of, the most recent analogy is like in TV, in TV, when the internet was invented, and like TV executives always were like, we need to make a viral video. And I was like, that's for other people to say if it's viral.
Yeah.
It's not for you to say.
interesting.
You know what I mean? So it's like, that's for other people to say if something's a hit television show, if something's on the bestseller list. That's for other people to say. But all you can do is like your best to write a beautiful book or to make a wonderful television show. If people don't like it, that's because they're idiots.
But okay, sane person. I mean, what if you don't feel like that? Like, I know I wrote a beautiful book and Busy, you know, your new show is rad and funny and great. But you know, and we can get rave reviews, but then what?
Well, I'll use the example of Busy tonight, actually, because I think that, you know, you have gotten rave reviews for your book. And to me, that would be success. Like that people got it and that was affecting people deeply, and that it meant something, and that it's meaning something to people, and that it's a part of a larger cultural conversation that's super important to have right now, and that it will sort of exist in perpetuity as that, which is
you said
incredible.
In perpetuity.
In perpetuity, it will.
I know, I love it. It's such contract speak.
But with Busy Tonight, I think a lot of people would say, oh, that show was canceled as as it was a failure, as in it was a failure. And Casey and I mean, it fucking sucked. It sucked that it was canceled.
Yeah.
But I do think that Casey and I were able to almost immediately have a great deal of perspective about it and how actually successful it was.
Yeah.
Because of the cultural impact that we had, because of the creative accomplishment that we were able to make in such a short period of time. And so it's interesting because I think that maybe people think of that show as a failure or not a success, certainly. But to me, really, whether or not we ever fucking get credit for it, and this brings us to the current abortion ban, and the Center for Reproductive Rights is, we're going to the Supreme Court again. But after the episode in which I talked about my own abortion and talked about the extreme bans that were being passed in the United States, all over the country, in different cities, but specifically we were talking about Georgia then, in May of 2019, within 1 month, the public opinion on whether abortion should be safe and legal and accessible for all, skyrocketed. It was had sort of dipped, and because culturally people just weren't having the conversation, they were afraid to have the conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, this is whatever. I'm fucking bragging about something that Casey and I thought very intensely about, and how to do it and whatever. But within 1 month, it went from it was in the high 50s to now it's over 75%, which really went. I mean, it really, there is a marker from when we did that episode to then the conversations that were started, and then the thing that happened over the next month to June of 2019, where it was all of a sudden at it was on the radar.
It started a conversation, and I think we hit on something really simple. And again, was it an analogy? I don't know. The point that we were making is that you might not know how you feel about abortion because you might think that you don't know anyone and that you don't have an opinion on it because you don't know anyone that ever has had an abortion, or that you never would know anyone that has ever had an abortion. But 1 out of 4 women has had or will have an abortion. And if you think you don't know anyone who has had one or will have one, you know me. And then that just started a hashtag that all of these women started tweeting, yeah, you know me. This is something that I too have done. And here's my story. Or I don't need to tell you my story, but guess what? You know me. And it just started this really big conversation that was well beyond the viewership of the show. And then
way beyond the viewership of the show, Casey.
Well beyond the viewership of the show. And Busy got to testify and so that's meaningful. And then we talked about Met Gala dresses because, as we said, this is what women do. This is have these conversations, and then we have these conversations, and that's our lives. That's what our lives are. So
Well, I mean, yes, I just so success. Who fucking knows, Rebecca? You know what I mean?
I sure do. I sure do.
Success is points. It's points on a graph. You know what I mean? It's not any kind of line.
They haven't even picked up Girls 5 Eva for season 2 yet, guys. What the fuck?
They haven't?
No, I don't know what's happening. I mean, we're assuming that they're going to. I mean, I feel like everyone I know figured out how to get Peacock to watch it, but I don't know. But who knows? We thought it was successful, but it also was like something that felt really great to make and put in the world. And
yeah.
Listen,
I don't know.
It's really good and people are still enjoying the hell out of it. And maybe, who knows what their reasons are.
You never know what when you're reliant on, this is why it's so hard. Casey and I had been trying to do make our own content in a different way before the pandemic shut our dreams down. But you never know how like one theory that I was talking about with someone the other day was like, well, maybe with streaming, they want to wait until there's a dip in the publicity. Like we're still getting a lot of publicity and people are still talking about the show, and they want to wait until there's a dip to announce that we're going to do season 2 so that then people who haven't watched the show get interested and then they watch the show. So there's another uptick. Like, I don't know why my brain even has been trying to run these things, these scenarios that don't even, we don't know if they exist or not.
Because it matters to you. That is why I brought it up. It matters, right? And so the idea of, the letters that I have, the emails that I have received from transracial adoptees, which I just didn't anticipate. I couldn't possibly have anticipated what I have received in terms of you've changed my life. This is the book I needed. I didn't know I needed it until it was, it just really beautiful. That's success, but
yes.
Okay. You know what I mean? Okay, that's great. I want it to be a bestseller.
Of course.
But aren't things happening with the book besides being a book? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm.
Also, things. Is Oprah involved?
Ugh, I wish.
How do we get? That's what to me that would be a success. Like if
right?
Oprah,
See, that's what I'm saying.
When
I know.
when Oprah gets
her
involved, hands on your fucking book.
See, she's not going to get my hands on me. So it was optioned by MGM and Killer Films, and I'm adapting it for a limited series, for TV.
That's fucking amazing. So then,
amazing.
Well, here's another thing. Like success happens in different ways for everyone, right? So wasn't it that horrible Girl Wash Your Face girl problematic Girl Wash Your Face, who wasn't it wasn't on the New York Times bestseller list, and then it was? Wasn't that the story from the original?
Oh, that's right.
Yes, you guys, I'm almost positive that when the book first came out, it was not on the bestseller list, and then it was later on the bestseller list, and then remained there forever. Until she became so problematic.
I don't know. That's a good question.
Oh,
I think it is.
I think she's right.
I actually think because her book because my book came out. I was like, the fuck is Girl Wash Your Face? And why is it number 2? And I'm 7. I know who Michelle Obama is. I could have told you to wash your fucking face. I've never not washed my face before bed.
That you shared the list with Michelle. Come on.
I did.
That
was really exciting. That was also
amazing.
Though, can I tell you, Rebecca, it was also how I knew I was not going to, I didn't even get nominated, but I was like, there's no fucking way I'm winning a Grammy. I wanted that Grammy for
the audiobook.
Oh yeah, dude.
Are there Grammys for audiobooks?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
I did not know.
That's how people EGOT. That's how people
eat. It's the best way to EGOT if you're. And listen, I've got none of them, so I was gonna go. I was gonna go Grammy.
Yeah.
Or go home. I haven't. I was very excited about the possibility that I could, because I thought my audiobook was really good, and it was. I was proud of my audiobook, but But then when Michelle, I was like, oh, this is not even going to happen. She's
Wait,
gonna win
Busy.
it.
Have you ever, speaking of Michelle Obama, have you ever watched her show Waffles and Mochi?
I was like,
No,
wait,
but you know, Jenny Connor's brother, that's his show.
Yes, you
Jeremy.
have to watch it. I
really want to.
Do you have to watch it because you know that she has like a bee sidekick whose name is Busy, and she's always exasperated with the bee, and she's always like Busy. So if you ever want to get kind of like gently chastised by Michelle Obama, watch Waffles and Mochi if you want to know what that feels like.
Does she voice one of them?
She's like, it's
She's
a
like on
live
the show.
action with puppets. And like Michelle Obama runs a magical grocery store with puppet
Of course she
employees.
does.
Of course she
And
does.
like her sidekick is like an anal retentive bee who gets on her nerves.
Well, that's not
Okay.
me. It's not me.
But she's always like, Busy, come on.
Guys, we are here to talk to you about some really interesting things. Specifically, we want to talk to you about something called Dipsy. Now, here's the deal. Do you know that like 90% of women use mental framing or scenario conjuring to like get a little turned on? But most of the innovation and investment in pleasure for women is like focused on the body, like rather than the brain, i.e. toys. But here's what Dipsy is. It's really interesting. It is an app for short audio stories designed to turn you on, guys. They're
all
relatable.
fascinating.
I know, it is. They're relatable scenarios, immersive soundscapes, and they're created with women in mind. Like every story has characters that feel like real people and immersive scenarios. You feel like you're right there. You can like listen to stories about hooking up with your hometown crush you never made a move on, or a coworker, or a story that like puts you in bed with somebody who's telling you exactly what they'd like to do to you. What? They release new content every week. Very interested. I remember when I was in my 20s and there was like a book that I liked that was like just a regular book, but it did have like one sexy thing in it. And I was like, oh, I guess I got to read the book again. You know, this is so much easier than trying to find that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's right on your phone.
It's right on your phone. Also, if you need to wind down, Dipsy also has wellness sessions and sensual bedtime stories and soundscapes to help you relax before you go to bed. So
That's for me.
why don't we just try it? Why don't we try it and we see if we like it? For listeners of the show, Dipsy is offering an extended 30-day free trial when you go to dipsystories.com/best. That's 30 days of full access for free when you go to DIPSEA stories.com/best. dipsystories.com/best. Why don't you go get it? Function of beauty, function of beauty. Everybody loves the function of beauty. Everybody loves the function of beauty.
The jingles are back.
Guys, jingles are back. Your perfect hair is beautiful, shiny, full. But how does it smell? Function of Beauty's custom hair. Make sure you don't neglect the most powerful of your body's senses, the smell. Scent is maybe the most underappreciated of the senses. It powers your taste. It creates memories. And yes, it even unleashes desire. Function of Beauty's team of formula scientists know this. They make scent a key ingredient in every bottle, and you get to pick it.
I'm so into mango for summer.
I love it. Honestly, I like the eucalyptus. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
I like to just, it's like fresh. Fresh. You know what Function of Beauty is. It's the world leader in fully customized hair care. They create a unique formula based on a short but thorough quiz to give your hair everything it needs to look and feel its best. Every product is sulfate and paraben free, which is why we love it in our house. It's vegan, it's cruelty-free, and there are over 60,000 real 5-star customer reviews. That's wild. Function and beauty fans are absolutely wild about the fragrances. And honestly, I'm with them. Tropical mango, sweet peach, crisp pear, lavender, rose, eucalyptus. If fragrance isn't for you, that's fine too. You can get unscented. Turn your beauty routine into an aromatherapy session, a tropical getaway even. So what are you waiting for? Go to functionofbeauty.com/best to take your quiz and save 20% on your first order. That applies to their full range of customized hair, skin, and body products. That's functionofbeauty.com/best to let them know that you heard about it here and to get 20% off your order. functionofbeauty.com/best.
But you didn't say what you were doing your best at.
You know what I am doing my best at? This is like a thing that I constantly say I'm trying to do my best at, but I really am trying right now to be kind to myself about just everything. And that's not easy. It's not easy.
It's all of a piece.
It's all of a piece. I know.
Yeah.
I also am feeling a little bit of I don't know why, it really just hit. Oh, I do know why. But it hit me again today. I had a friend from LA who visited for a minute. She came here for 1 second, and we had dinner last night, and she slept over, and then I said goodbye to her this morning. And I've been friends with her since I was 21, I think we met, and in LA, and and she's a part of my deep friend group, that friend group that you have from when you're in your early 20s. Now everybody's got children and are married, whatever. Some people aren't married, some people don't have children, but everybody's grown up essentially. We're 41. And when she left, I just really felt so sad about living here and not having my home in LA anymore. And it's just really hard. I don't even want my house in LA. I am mad that I let those people keep so much of my furniture, though. I really am.
Why would you do that?
If they're listening, I am mad about it, guys.
Yeah.
I'm mad at you.
Were the people you knew?
Rebecca, I don't know what happened. It was pandemic mixed with just fucking insanity and I don't know. I literally don't know. I feel like I was in a fugue state. And I was I was just let them have it. Just take it all. And they didn't even pay for it. They just were it was just included in the price that they paid us for the house. And I don't know. I just was and then they just kept asking for more and more stuff. And then I got annoyed. And then I tried to start taking stuff back, but then it was too late. And then it was just this whole thing. And my realtor was are you going to blow this whole thing because of some lights in the kitchen and a table? And I was yeah, I think I might. But ultimately, it wasn't the move. But I just I don't know what happened. I don't know. Also, moving stuff from LA to New York seemed almost impossible. Yeah. Is that, I mean.
Yeah.
And by the way, we just got the bill from the movers and it's terrible. It's a terrible amount of money.
Until they invent a shrink ray.
It's a terrible amount of money.
It was. It was no wonder. Fucking get a U-Haul. Do it yourself.
Yeah.
It is so expensive. And I know that it's not whatever. I'm talking about high class issues here, right? Or whatever. I just
you know who you are, Busy.
What?
You don't have to disclaim that you're talking about high class issues.
I know who I am. Oh yeah.
Yeah, right? No,
By
a
the
terrible
way,
amount of money is a terrible amount of money. I'm saying that for everyone.
That's right.
so much of your furniture would have been dropped down a million stairs if you had tried to like move it yourself and
Fair
never survived like a DIY move. And yeah.
Oh,
It's
I couldn't
also-
move it myself. I also know who I am.
Yeah.
Like
Right,
as Rebecca
exactly.
just said, no, I'm not
Yeah.
fucking moving
You
myself.
should have put it in the yard and burned it.
Well, you know what I mean? Like in some respects, like, you know how petty I get. But, I'm like, I would have, in some versions of my brain, I'm like, I would have rather just burned it than like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
They just got, I just felt like they were greedy at the end and not nice to me. And I was like trying to be so nice. And then I felt like annoyed and.
Yeah. So the lesson here, don't try to be nice.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
It's interesting. It's an interesting, like a personality trait to be like generous to a point and then like a switch flips and then you're like.
That's what I am.
Yeah.
You know I'm that way.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm super generous to a point, and like sometimes like too generous.
Yes. And then
like
you're
way
like
too generous.
yeah.
And then when that fucking switch flips, when that switch flips, you are
Yeah.
dead to me.
Yeah.
I'm going to like, yeah, that is really funny. I never have thought about that or talked about that in therapy, Casey. What does that mean?
Also though, a moral compass, right?
Yeah.
I feel like, right, generosity is something that you are or you are not. And when you are, it is so pure that when someone tries to take advantage of that, it is a switch. It's like, I'm sorry, what now? You really trying to play me like that?
Yes.
I am not going out like a punk.
Yes,
Right.
Rebecca. Yes. Because here's
right.
the thing. Busy's the kind of person to be like, let me do this for you. And then you say, like, it's like a little morality play, right? Busy will be like, let me help you out with this. And then you say, oh my gosh, thank you. Let me get you back on this. And she knows that you're in a bad spot. And then she says, you know what? Don't worry about it. Most people in the world would be like in their mind, but yes, I do worry about it. Mm-hmm. So like, even if I can't get her back and exactly return whatever it is, let me pick her up at the airport. Let me bake cookies for her. Mm-hmm. Let me listen to her cry on the phone, maybe.
There you
I
go.
don't know. Something. Let me do what I
Moral
can
fabric.
do. Let me do what I can do. But also,
That's it.
I feel like there have been people in your life, Busy, where you say, let me help you out with this. And they do their part of the play where they say, what can I do for you? And you say, don't worry about it. And they say, okay. And then that's the end of it.
That's true.
Forever. And then
Forever.
you're like, what the fuck?
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
And with some, like, I have done therapy in terms of like my family, in knowing that like anything that I do in any way, shape, or form for anyone in my family, and I'm talking about my family of origin, my parents. That's what my therapist calls it, family of origin. I do that with the knowledge that the other part, the cookies or the whatever, is never gonna, like, if that does happen, lovely, but I have to do things for my family of origin because I just want to do them and not expect anything ever in return. And when I do get stuff in return, I just have to be like, what a fucking surprise. That was wonderful. Like,
Right.
like they showed up and did this great,
Wow.
Whatever. And that's just where I am with family. But Casey's right, with other people in my life. And there've been many, many, many people, and even just these fucking people that bought my house. Like, I do expect some kind of like something. Yeah, like there is like a thing that I would like in exchange. And it doesn't have to be the money or the thing or the whatever. I think that it's, Casey, you're really right. You're really right.
But I think that I feel like I identify with that. I don't know if you do, Rebecca. I just feel like, sometimes it'd just be nice to like, it'd just be nice. You know, that's very New England, right, Rebecca? It'd just be nice.
I would not know. I would not know, girl. Listen. But what I was thinking of was just in terms of friendship and generosity. I mean, like my mantra, like my whole mantra has always been, if I have it, you have it. Like, that's just what it is.
Same.
And I never think beyond that. Yeah.
I mean, the amount of like, I have like met people for dinner that I haven't seen in years, and they show up wearing like a coat of mine, and I'm like, oh my God, I forgot about that. And they're like, yeah, don't you remember? You just like gave it to me like 3 years ago out of nowhere. I just like said I liked it a lot, and you just like gave me your coat. I'm like, I do remember
like
that now.
Those jeans are so cute. Like, yeah, you gave them to me.
Yeah,
like,
they're
remember
yours.
when you were,
That's hilarious.
yeah, exactly.
When I used to write for Joan Rivers when she was alive. Why did I point out when she was alive? Obviously, I didn't write jokes for her when she passed away.
Know. She does seem like she's still around.
But
she does. Lots. Yeah. Mm.
I had to remind myself never to compliment anything, because she would just like take it off and give it right to you. So like, she just like, you could never be like, oh, I love that purse or whatever, because she'd just like dump it right out and be like, here, it's yours, here you go.
So do you want to talk about the abortion?
Yes.
Well, listen, we do need Elizabeth Warren here. Here's what's tricky about this Mississippi case that the Supreme Court has agreed to hear, is that we know the Supreme Court that we're dealing with, and that that this case like literally could effectively end Roe in a lot of ways, and that would affect more things than just access to safe and legal abortion. There are so many laws that are stacked on top of Roe, including and not limited to who you want to marry. I believe the Loving case is also a part of Roe, stacked inside of it. Yeah. Listen, I'm not a lawyer. I just sat next to one when I testified at Congress, guys. She was testifying as well. And she really went through. It's actually super interesting. I wonder if that whole transcript is available. Because she was super, she's an educator as well, but she just like literally broke down all of the laws that are sort of stacked on top of one another, and what happens when one gets changed is that they all then are vulnerable to.
But also, like the way in which it is, all these laws, it's so Byzantine. It is so Byzantine, however you pronounce.
Yeah.
It is like it's made that way on purpose, right? Like, either people don't have access to what those laws are, how they work together, or we have a system where it makes it seem like they're not important.
Right.
Well, right. And, I think that for a long time, my own privilege kept me from being involved in trying to keep abortion safe and legal, because I always was like, well, I'm always going to live in a place where it'll be fine. And I think that's like, I think a lot of liberal people have felt that way, like California is never going to overturn abortion. New York is never going to overturn abortion. But what's happening is, Mississippi only has one clinic left. Jackson is what it's called. I can't remember the full name, but it's Jackson something. Jackson and anyway, this is what the case is about. They've already been limited in how, with all of these trap laws, how and where and who can even provide abortion care. And, the fact that the Supreme Court has decided to even take up this case isn't honestly, it's not great. It's not great news. It's not great news. Because
their intent seems clear.
Their intent. This is
It's so Handmaid's Tale. It's just it is. I mean,
more than 20 states would prohibit abortion outright if Roe is weakened, if the Supreme Court votes in favor of the state of Mississippi. 11 states currently have trigger bans, which mean that they would instantaneously ban abortion if the Supreme Court finds Mississippi is in the right or whatever. How do you say it? If they it's not like a trial, so you don't say. I can't remember the verbiage that you're supposed to use. I mean, I did all that training, but here we are. Here we are, guys.
Here we are.
I can't remember anything, but I do know that it's not going to be great. You can go to Center for Reproductive Rights.org and on their site, they have a really you can donate. They need money because they're trying to keep reproductive rights legal all over the world. Mm-hmm. It's not just here, the Center for Reproductive Rights, and we're not just talking. And it's not just about abortion. This also it's about women's health care. It's about birth control.
Yeah,
that's the thing that's and it disproportionately affects the most vulnerable women in our country. And that was the point at which I was like, oh shit, I'm a fucking asshole. Of course, rich white women are always going to be able to get abortions. They'll fly wherever. They'll fucking get their fucking kids, their 15-year-old, knocked up 15-year-olds abortions if they need to. Even, wealthy white people in Mississippi will figure it the fuck out. But the people that won't be able to access it are, children who've been raped by a family member, those who live in, communities that in poverty, which, by the way, in Mississippi is a lot.
I would like to add to this narrative that it's not always about tragic circumstances or impoverished Black and brown people or rape or anything like that. It's about choice. Mm-hmm. It's about autonomy. It's about respect. And, when I think about the abortions, and I've had more than one that I've had, it was a choice that I knew was right for my body and my circumstances, and that I was able to take myself to a place that respected that and gave me that autonomy. That, I think, is a really important part that gets left out of the narrative.
Well, for sure. And it's listen, part of the problem, though, if we're just gonna semantics, is that the other side has been so successful by making it so reductive and making it about unwanted babies.
Yes.
And so if we're dealing with people who are just they've been able to permeate the culture and make people who, maybe didn't fucking care what anyone wanted to do with their body, have really gotten them on board. I mean, the amount of people that send me baby murdering, messages every time I talk about this, where it's hey guys, also a friend of mine really wanted a baby and had to have a DNC, an abortion,
right.
Because she was going to die and she had 2 kids already. So you're in that case, you choose what? What do you choose? What do you choose for her? What is your choice for my friend? The fetus or the, or this living woman with 2 children that will be left without a mother. And I think that
I live for a time when complexifying the narrative is not a luxury.
Right.
Yes.
Dude.
Yes.
Me too. It's just, guys, listen,
let me pivot because I feel like we get to say something like what's been happening in the news, right? In popular culture. But look at Issa Rae on the cover of Vanity Fair, and she's relaunching Project Greenlight, which the poetic justice of that.
So great.
Right?
Yeah.
Project Greenlight, originally launched by those white boys, everybody's favorite, Ben and Matt. Who,
did you guys watch the original Project Greenlight?
I did kind of, but it was kind of dull, I thought.
It was super dull. And then, though, they brought my girl Effie Brown in there, and then there was that whole thing.
Then the fireworks.
Where Matt Damon shut her down. And so that I just had to say that Issa Rae is becoming a media mogul.
She's crushing it.
And I'm so happy for her. And it's such a joy to watch her soar. I had a conversation with her a millennial years ago when she was just coming off of Awkward Black Girl. And she was like, girl, I don't know. Right?
Yeah.
And that she is here is so brilliant. I love it.
You know what I love so much about her is that there's just something about her, right? Because so she's doing her thing and, and we've seen her come up and she's doing her thing, but then everything she does and everything she touches, every satellite around her, people that are involved with those things are also becoming really successful.
Yes.
So that to me,
successful.
Yes, that to me says something about the way in which she's doing things. And if I had to guess, I think that it's probably just that she's supporting people and giving them a great deal of autonomy and saying like, hey, I like the way you do things. Like, this is why I'm working with you. If I had to guess. I don't know. I've never quizzed anyone about it, but that would be my guess.
No, she definitely is. I can attest. She definitely is. But it also is like, when we were talking earlier about what success means, and how to keep doing what you're doing and, and the show, You're Busy Tonight, and the cultural impact that had. And, it feels like gauging success in a system where it seems like there's always somebody who's going to do something better or more is really, really hard.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true. But then I think that's where you have to like go to therapy and have your own ideas of it. But wait. I had read the article and I remembered something and I just looked it up. And cause I think this is on Issa Rae. She says, this is like everything to me. I pretty much go with my gut. And this is what my gut's been telling me forever. She says about ending the show after 5 seasons and that it was always her intention. But just that idea of being able to follow your gut and what your intentions are telling you is, as anyone in the world, and especially women, we are sort of trained from a very young age to ignore our gut. And I love that she's like, no, this is just like, I go with my gut. And I think that's why, to me, that's the secret of successful people always.
Because it's never wrong. Your gut is never wrong.
If you watch Insecure, what is so great about it to me, what's so entertaining is how weird of a character she can be. That's what's so funny, is that she left all the weirdness in that character, and it's what's so real. I mean, literally, the show is called Insecure. And so it's very human, and of course it's really funny, and it explores all these issues, and the relationships are great. I love the weirdness, and that to me is the sign of someone listening to their gut, and also being really strong when I'm sure a number of people are like, are you sure that you want to like do a rap about your pussy, or like your broken pussy or whatever in front of kids? And she probably was like, you have to be really strong to be like, I am 100% sure that I want to rap about my broken pussy.
It's also unabashedly Black.
Yes.
And in terms of like needing to, because the double-edged sword for us is that we always, especially creatives, are trying to find ways to break the monolith while also staying in community.
Yeah.
And she has mastered that, right? Which is that she had this weird character, but she also has this squad of amazing, also weird friends, which permeates throughout the show. And it's what I think makes the audience, and particularly Black audiences, but everybody, just be like, wow, you really did that.
And I also appreciate too unabashedly Black, and like not feeling the need to explain anything, because it gives it gives me credit for like either knowing, or if I don't know, I'll find out. Like I'm smart enough to find out. And if I'm a fan of the show and I love the show, which I do, and I want to find out, I will find out, so I love being given credit as a viewer for, just like being into it enough that I will find out whatever I need to find out, or like figure it out from context clues. So I really, really love, just not all kinds of like extra exposition when people trust you to just get it. I think that's really great. She's just delightful, and everybody on the show is delightful. I just love her so much.
I love her and the show. And also I really liked that article, and I'm very excited for Project Greenlight to come back and have her helming it, because it'll be interesting. And I imagine that the stories they pick will be a little bit more interesting as well. And the filmmakers that they decide to work with. Wait, you guys, two things. Have you been watching Z-Way's show?
Yes.
I have not seen it.
Okay. Can I just be real? This is what I'm doing, which is what people did with our show, which I hated, but it is just what I've been doing.
Clips.
I'm just watching the clips. And I need to fucking watch the show, but I'm literally just watching the clips online. And I am really enjoying it, but I'm not watching the show.
If the network is paying attention to how many people are watching the clips, then that counts. The problem is our network wasn't paying attention to who was watching the clips, but do watch the music video about.
I watched. I felt like it was like Girls Five Eva.
Yes,
like literally they cut a joke. I had said a joke in the episode where we go to try to get Alf Music to write us a hit song.
Yeah,
it's like episode 3 with Stephen Colbert, and it's like when we have our reckoning about like the messaging in our songs and what it used to be. And Wiki, who's Renee Elise Goldsberry, and my character Summer are kind of on the side of like, whatever, it's a fucking hit, it doesn't matter, like let's just get a hit. And Sarah Bareilles and Paula Pell's characters are like on the other side, right? And there was one, I did have a few takes where like Wiki's like referencing all these things, like, Britney, I'm a slave for you. Like this song, Dancing Queen, only 17. And I did say, I was like, do you know how many songs there are about fucking teenagers? And it did not make the show. But now you guys know that we were well aware. That are a lot of songs
about fucking teenagers.
Anyway, I'm gonna commit to watching the show because
It's really,
I really
it's
like all
very
the
funny.
clips, and I love
can
that
I also
music
just
video.
say that I haven't watched all of them, but I love when you say "Girls Five Eva" because you just say it so right.
It's Girls Five Eva.
Rebecca Carroll, a joy, a memoirist, a mom who has to take her son to the orthodontist. Our guest
I have a
co-host
very, very serious orthodontist.
today.
She is a Black woman who does not play, so
Oh.
we cannot be late.
Okay,
All right.
Surviving the White Gaze is the book. Please pick it up. You want to read it before the TV series comes out. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
Thank you, ladies. This was so
good.
fun.
good
It was
to
so
see you.
good to see you, Rebecca.
Okay.
Talk to you soon.
All right. Okay.
Bye.
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 Well, now that we've said goodbye to Rebecca and we've talked about a lot of different things,
So many different things.
Ariana Grande got married. I don't care. Let her live. You know what I mean? Let her live.
Happy for
I don't
her.
care. Get married, girl.
Naomi
your thing.
Campbell had a baby.
She did? That's cute.
I mean, I don't know
that.
if she had the baby or she got the baby or I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
She just
she's a
yeah,
mom.
She's
Got
a mom now. Yeah.
That's great. What else is happening?
Aliens. We have aliens apparently, according to the Navy on 60 Minutes.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. Like that tracks, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I'm trying to clean out my closet. Is that a good thing? Is that on peoplemag.com? No, probably not. But I am. And we had a great chat with our guests this week. And then we had some tech issues. And guys, if you know us,
not gonna
you
lie.
know, we can't lie to you. But Tina Fey and Jeff Richmond, their audio was a bit of an issue. And it's just, this is a sign of the times. It's hard to do things remotely. But thanks to our very trusty editor who worked some sound magic, we think that it's listenable.
And also
Because it also was like a really
it's
interesting...
Tina Fey and her husband Jeff. And so it's worth it.
It's totally worth it. And Jeff, if you didn't know, did the music. He's a composer and a wonderful musician, and did the Mean Girls musical, but also did all the music for Girls Five Eva, minus the songs that Sarah Bareilles wrote. And if you like those earworms, well, he is responsible. And he and Tina have been together for a long time.
So long.
They've had pivots together and separately together. And why don't you just take a listen? We're all about the scents today. We love smelling good and knowing that we smell good and walking into rooms that smell good. And I gotta be honest, sometimes things don't smell good. When, you work out at home a lot because there was a pandemic.
Yeah.
And then things just smell kind of like a gym, which is not ideal for your TV room to smell like.
Yeah.
So we've started using these Azuna Fresh products in our homes. Their amazing odor eliminators do just that. It eliminates the smell at the source, so you smell nothing. Azuna Fresh is an antimicrobial plant-based odor eliminator. It's available in jars, and you place it in the rooms. And also they have a spray. You don't light a candle, or you don't have a plug-in that needs an outlet, and it's great. You can think of, I'm sure, many places in your home that need Azuna Fresh to continually sort of get rid of, odors and musty smells. We put it in the workout area. Laundry room, the bathrooms, obvi. Kitchen, in the thing that we pull out that has the trash in it.
Same.
That's the best one.
Yeah.
Pets, where, maybe you have some stinky pets, car,
Yes.
your refrigerator. Literally, you can put them anywhere.
Yes.
Each jar lasts for 60 to 90 days, and their convenient refill pouches help you save money and plastic.
We love that.
And the best part is that this Azuna Fresh actually eliminates bacteria, mold, mildew, and fungus from the air with no weird chemicals or toxins. I truly have been looking for something, and I'm so grateful for this because I hate spraying the stuff, you know, and I love this little jar. It's just so easy. It's healthier air, healthier immune systems, fewer allergies for you and your family. Listen, guys, I want you to try it out. I love it. Right now, we have a special offer, 20% off your purchase. Go to azunafresh.com today and use promo code BEST for 20% off your new favorite odor eliminator. That's promo code BEST at AZUNA fresh.com. Sakara, we love you, Sakara. We really do love Sakara. I've been eating Sakara for years now, guys. I love it because, let's be real, feeling your best starts with what you put in your body, with what you eat. And Sakara gives you the ability to not just eat healthy, but truly enjoy it because it's delicious. And it has chef-created plant-rich meals that build a foundation for radiant health. I have been literally off and on. I order Sakara. I mean, for years, literally years. Years. I've been ordering Sakara. They're organic and ready to eat meals, and they're made with powerful plant-based ingredients, and they're designed, and they really do boost energy and improve your digestion, and it gets your skin looking real good. And it's delivered fresh to your door anywhere in the U.S. Part of the reason why I've loved using Sakara over the years is just like, you know, I mean, guys, I talk about my stomach problems all the time, but occasionally I do need like a reset. I get into a groove of eating too much sugar or whatever, you know, and it's hard when you're trying to do it on your own and like meal prep, and then it's like 3 p.m. and you don't know what you haven't eaten lunch, and you're like, what am I going to do? And then that's when you're like, well, I guess I'll just eat this, you know, cinnamon sugar graham cracker. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is why I love Sakara, because when I do it, it's like, you know, even if I forget to eat till 3 p.m., I'm like, oh, I have my Sakara like salad in the fridge, and I will eat that, or I'll heat up the, you know, miso soup or whatever.
Right.
And then I feel great, and it hasn't derailed what I'm like trying to do.
Right.
Along with delicious plant-rich meals, Sakara also offers daily wellness essentials like supplements and herbal teas to support your nutrition. I really do like their teas as well. So experience the transformative power of plants with their best-selling Metabolism Super Powder, which is made with organic raw cacao. And it works to boost your energy, eliminate bloating, minimize sugar cravings. That's my problem. And reduce fatigue, also sort of an issue for me. And right now, Sakara is offering our listeners 20% off their first order when they go to sakara.com/busy or enter code BUSY at checkout. That's Sakara, SAKARA.com/busy to get 20% off your first order. Sakara.com/busy. Go get some healthy food. Are we ready?
Yeah.
Are we doing it?
Yeah.
That's actually the most official I've ever been in starting an interview conversation.
You've got the mic.
Well, I have the mic now. That's right,
Yeah.
Jeff. That's right.
That's what it is.
Well, guys, Jeff Richmond, Tina Fey, thank you so much for joining Casey and me, Busy Phillips. Like, we all know each other, obviously, because we work together. We've all worked together.
Yes. Wait, Casey,
Yeah.
were you saying that you met, I mean, did you meet Jeff ever during Busy Tonight? No, we just
only spoke on the phone, but we co-wrote the Goodnight song from
Yes.
Busy Tonight together. So it's so nice to see his face.
It's one of my favorite collaborative moments was Coastal and for Busy.
I still get requests on DM. I got one today, actually, that said, will you sing the Goodnight song at some point?
how did it go? Will you sing it right now?
I don't know if I can remember it. Jeff just listened to it.
I just listened to it. So good. Na da dum da 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 da. And it started out with a tequila line, but
There's no more tequila.
Wait,
Your marg's
there's no
been
more
downed.
tequila. Wait,
There's
your
no
mark's
more
been
tequila.
downed. Babe, I
Babe, I
totally
totally
feel
feel
ya.
ya.
Put on Mr. Nightgown. Someone was a great guest. Something else is.
This is
put
like a
in
line that
here.
we would
Yeah,
write
we would
every
always
time.
write every night.
right.
Na 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 na. Something away your fears.
A funny joke.
A funny joke,
Right.
right? And then good night.
Right.
Love busy tonight. Is that right?
Yeah.
There you
right.
go. That was it.
That's it.
And that funny joke would always be written in a panic, like in the remaining 2 minutes before the show, because we would always forget
Yeah.
to write it. And it would be hastily put into the teleprompter. Sometimes Busy wouldn't even know what the joke would be before she
Right.
sat in the swing to sing it.
That's right.
And that's how that was done. Little peek behind the curtain.
You would forget to write it. That's cool.
That whole operation. Well, because
Forget
they
to
would
write
wait
the
to see
joke.
what happened in the show, and then
Right,
Yes.
right. Oh, sure, right. Like the last minute. Right.
Well, sometimes also though, guys, we would forget that we needed to come up with a couplet for the song.
Well, that whole operation was so wonderfully tiny and like just felt like 1951 television meets
Yeah, and
2050 sensibility. Like it was the past
Yeah.
and the future all
that-
at once.
that
And
cool
meets-
kind of local TV kind of.
Yes,
Where the
that's what we were
weatherman
going
also
for.
plays plays the clown on the cartoons show on Saturday. That's what I always felt your show is like.
Well,
then
we
it-
were so lucky. We were really lucky just to work with Tina, to work with you, Jeff. It was really lucky. It was nice. It was nice. It was just nice and weird.
It was nice. It's a good year.
It was nice. I look back fondly on that time. Jeff, I just found your birthday card that I never gave you, but I fully wrote.
Let me read it.
And
Okay, no
it's
sense.
an Oprah birthday card, but it went with your martini set that I got you, but then somehow left the card in this desk drawer, and I just pulled it out.
I should have
So-
my martini set that you got me, which is, once again, Busy always proves that she's the one with the most taste in the room. Just always the perfect gift, always the perfect thing, the
It is
perfect
just-
outfit.
It's just my love language, guys.
It is. It is.
I think your love language is giving me jobs, Tina.
I think my acts of service is
It is? That's
not that that's an act of service.
well, I guess, I mean, honestly, it's not at this point. You know what I mean? Not too many.
Very
other
helpful
people.
to
It
employ
is super
people.
helpful.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge astrology person, but I
Yes.
am a Taurus, and I do sometimes feel like I'm like yoked and pulling things, and that's my deal. I just want to be yoked and pulling things.
Jeff, what's your sign? What are you?
Astrology?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a Capricorn. Do you remember? I think there was a day on set we were shooting right there in the beginning of January. We're still there. We still got our masks and our shields, and we're doing it. And it seemed like everybody was a Capricorn for a minute. Like, I think Renee and is Meredith a Capricorn, possibly?
Maybe.
It was a whole
Sarah
bunch. Mary
Bareilles.
Mitchell was. Had never been around that many Capricorns at one time. And it was
That's
a
when you were in
weird
the hospital
feeling.
when you were born. You were surrounded by them.
Oh, that's
Oh,
solid,
good point.
solid
Good point.
observation. I wonder where all those guys are now. Where are all those guys?
Well, I think it was a good, whatever the Capricorn mix is, I would say was real good on set because between Paula, who acts like a Cancer, like me, Paula and I never stop crying.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest of you Capricorns are just holding it together and very even keeled. That's what I would say.
Mm-hmm.
You all very temperate.
Yeah, diplomatic and
Diplomatic.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah, I would think so. And then half of them were Cancers, and half of the people were crying, and but never mad crying. Not a mad.
No,
cry.
we're just always just sad crying and
crying.
Paula's always got like
Casey,
an
what are
animal
you?
that's in.
I'm a Gemini, so I'm like the nicest person in the world. And then like on any given moment, I'll like turn around, cut you, and your guts will be on the floor. That seems right, Busy?
I would say so, but I think that you don't cut as many people as you should.
Would it be like every millionth person? I'm like, there's your guts on the floor. How do you like that?
Yeah. You guys, I want to ask you, we're so lucky to have you. You know, we talk about pivots on the show. I want to ask you about, if you don't mind, about your relationship and then your working relationship together, because one thing, you're very much a power couple.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
I'll take it.
But you're so interesting. The way that you have really worked together now in the last several years of your career and your company together has been so expansive and different. And I was wondering, well, I guess I want to start at the beginning. How did you guys meet?
We met at the Improv Olympic, right, Jeff?
We met at the Improv Olympic in Chicago in should I give a year? It was a long time ago. It was 1994. I would like to say it was the heyday of long-form improv comedy in Chicago. And I was the piano player at the Improv Olympic, which meant I was the only person that got paid other than Charna. And I must have looked like a cool daddy-o, huh? Right? Because I drag on my keyboards every night upstairs.
Carrying your keyboards through the ice and
$50.
snow.
It was very smart of
once.
you because in my experience, everyone always falls in love with the improv keyboard player. That's true, right?
Yeah, it's been my experience.
He's swimming in it, guys. Jeff has this crazy skill that only a handful of people in the world have, which is the ability to score improv. And it is like, it's such an example of like a person who's like a great listener, a great communicator, really intuitive. You can imagine what else that bodes well for. But like, yeah, the ability to like lead a scene and like help beginners kind of like find their way, or like play something on the piano that makes them bring back an idea that they hadn't thought to bring back. So there's only like 5 people in the world that can do that, and he's one of them.
Oh, that's really nice.
That is such a cool and specific talent. And I was just as you were talking about it, I was thinking about watching long form improv in Los Angeles back in the day, and yeah, like the musical, director, a person doing it. And I guess I have never seen one of the 6 people, Jeff included, who can, but like, you'd also have to have a really good sense of timing, I imagine. And you have to like know where the jokes live, because you're going to bring them, you can bring them back musically.
Yeah.
Did you perform? Were you always a funny person, Jeff?
Pivot. I thought I was going to be a performer, and that was my first pivot, is that I always said, I'm going to be an actor. And I was fairly good at it. And then suddenly I decided I didn't want to do that anymore because for whatever reasons. Maybe it was anxieties. I didn't want to be on stage like that anymore. But I turned to music and writing music. But the thing about improv is very interesting. You're just kind of listening, and you have to kind of know the rules of improv and be another player up there. You kind of have to. It's not just shooting from the hip.
I'm texting you both a picture of Jeff as a child actor in like Virginia Beach playing like, or no, maybe that was community theater, but it's like him playing an old man.
That was dinner theater. That was paid.
So funny.
Wait, you know what? This is amazing.
God.
You guys, this is an amazing picture. We may have to ask Jeff's permission to put it on our Instagram when we air this, because it is amazing. But also, you can really see your daughters in
great.
you
Yeah.
in this. Because I always think your kids look so much like Tina, and then you see this picture, and I guess, wow, they really do favor you a bit.
If you put a beard on any one of our kids, they would look like me. And then if the beard gets too long, they look like Tina. As a joke. See? I don't know where I was.
But that's the same with me. That's the same with us. Like, if our children with a beard look exactly like Mark, but then sometimes they really shapeshift and they look exactly like me. Oh my God, Jeff, look at you.
So
this is
cute
really
and
amazing.
funny. Holy moly.
So you guys met. Tina played it cool. Was trying to be cool about it.
I remember the first thing I said to you, because at the time Jeff had like very short cropped hair, and I was like, "Do people ever tell you look like Anthony Hopkins?" And he was like, "Yes," because he did. He kind of it's like a young Anthony Hopkins.
All the time.
And we didn't really just go on a date. I think the way that you opened that door was you were like, because Jeff's day job was working at a children's theater company called Child's Play, where they would tour and they would like write. It was a great thing actually, where they go to schools, teach kids about story, then the kids write stories, and they take the stories away and they come back with a produced play of the kids' story. It was like this awesome thing. I guess it's still going on. Anyway, he was like, I'm writing these children's plays and I'm looking for someone to like help me out. And it's like, of course, the way to my love language being work and acts of service. Like that was...
I don't know if I ever told you this story, Tina, but I'm going to spill it now.
Oh, no.
On Busy's show.
Oh, no.
Maybe I did tell you, but that was like in 1994 when you could call in for like hotlines for like, what do you call them? Not,
like psychic hotline.
Yeah. What do you...
Psychic.
Oh, like a psychic hotline?
Thank God,
Yes,
yeah.
I do know this.
And
this
this person I was talking to, and I was because I was at a kind of a crossing point in my life then too, pivot, and they said you were going to find a T. The letter T keeps coming up, and and there you are. I really think that was you, and I think that psychic deserved the
$28 that you ended up paying.
A minute I paid for her.
Miss Cleo? Was it Miss Cleo?
It was a Miss Cleo knockoff.
Wow.
Was it like a 312 number? Was it just another dwelling in Chicago? We'll never know.
We'll never know. But here we are.
Here we are.
Now. So you guys like obviously fell in love, and then did SNL happen together?
No. So we started going out, and it was so funny because again, all the Chicago improv world ethics, like there's nothing more high stakes in the world than Chicago improv when you're in it. And I remember at first I was like, I keep this a secret from my team. Like I can't let the rest of Inside Vladimir find out that we're dating. And then like that cat got out of the bag. And then Jeff got hired at Second City to play piano in the one theater there. And I was working my way up through the touring company. And I remember by the time I was on the main stage, I had been there for a little while. I had I'd been like scouted. Our show had been scouted by SNL. There was no interest in me as a performer. And then Jeff got picked. He was going to direct the next show in the main stage. And I was like, well, obviously this is a conflict of interest because again, such Chicago ethics. So I was like, I better leave the company. It'll be just like, it won't be fair to people. You'll be picking my ideas. So that was what prompted me to go ahead and push and try to get a writing job from Adam McKay. And so I spent like that summer working on my packet of sketches and sent them to Adam. And Adam, who knew me a little bit from Chicago, was like, great, flew me out. I ended up getting the job. So then I left Chicago. I was flying back and forth.
Wait, I love that you're like, this guy that I'm in love, I assume you're like in love with him at this point. You guys are dating. You've been together a while. And you're like, this guy that I'm in love with, he's going to direct main stage. I can't be in that show. So I obviously get a job in New York and just leave.
I gotta
go.
Yeah, I gotta go.
On a big TV show.
On a big TV show. That's what...
I mean, yeah, if I had not gotten the job, what would I have done? I don't know. Probably stayed. And then, so then like a bunch of time went by. And then, and then there was like Cheryl Hardwick retired as the musical director. But then...
At SNL.
But then somebody else, and you had moved there by then, but I think somebody else had the job before you. Which, by the way, when a big job comes open like that, always better to be the second one to come into that job.
Be number two. That's don't be number one when you're trying to fill big shoes. Yeah, which worked out. But I will remember this. So you were in New York. I was still in Chicago, kind of going back and forth, and we were long distancing, and that's why we didn't decide to solidify our marriage of sorts until we were in the same city for an extended amount of time. But I remember when I was this is kind of a pivot too. When I finally came to New York and wasn't working in Chicago anymore, I would still I wanted to be in show business, so I would still get jobs at Conan's show, at Conan O'Brien, because if you knew somebody there, like we knew a lot of writers and whatnot, you could get those weird little comedy bits. You'd come in, show up, and I'd show up, with a diaper on,
Like wearing a
with an
diaper
arrow,
with
and Jack
Angel,
McBrayer
like
would...
Cupid.
pull out a little, gun that went bang. I don't know. You do these ridiculous bits
like a
for
barbershop
scale.
quartet, right?
And I think it was Robert Carlock that said that my life was like a O. Henry novel. Because I wanted to have my own money, but I had to just disgrace myself in the same business to do it.
That's hilarious.
That I was getting checks from entertainment partners.
Yeah.
And very inside. I don't know. That's how we were in New York.
Also, when you finally really left Chicago, was you had just opened. We got married in like June of 2001, and you went back and you were directing another show. The show was a couple days away from opening when September 11th happened, and you were like, I got to go be with my wife. And he got a rental car and drove and let the show open without him, and just kind of came and sat on the Upper West Side.
It's much like the Girls Five Ever story, because on that show I was directing was supposed to open September 12th, 2001.
Not a great time to open a comedy show, I'm going to say.
Not that year, no.
Not in that moment.
No.
So you came to New York, that job opened up at SNL, and then you guys get to work together again, but Tina did not have to recuse herself.
No,
there was no
anymore.
conflict
Not
of
that
interest.
time.
Not that
because
time.
it wasn't Chicago.
It wasn't Chicago.
The
New York
ethics were-
rules now,
yeah,
baby.
New York rules.
No ethics in New York. And we didn't, it wasn't our paths didn't cross in any way that would have been a problem,
Right.
And so, Jeff, at SNL, was that when you started, what kind of musical, composing would you do for the show? If they were doing, that thing that I loved. What was that thing that I loved where it was, the techno songs?
Deep House Dish.
Deep House Dish.
Right.
Would you write those songs with the writers, or would you write them? How would it work?
No, you would write them with the writers, because when you were the guy that was one of the musical directors, or as I was, creator of special material, special music, they would just bring you would be there on Tuesday nights with everybody else, and they would bring you these scripts, and they'd come in, I need a song, it's supposed to sound something like this, here's the words, and you'd have to sit here and kind of re-engineer these words that wouldn't scan into songs and make them fit. And you'd have about 20 or 40 or 100 of these before the read-through, which happened on Wednesday. So you'd be there all night, as all the writers were, and then you would have to teach the host before read-through started the next day, which was usually about 1:30 or 2 in the afternoon. And they would bring in whoever, Tom Hanks or whatever, Catherine
Just no big deal.
Zeta-Jones, no big deal. And they would have to stand there and pretend that they're learning a song that they have to sing in front of Lauren and the whole room within the next 30 minutes. And so and then you'd have to play the read through all the music. But you were writing all the jingles and the songs and the little musical numbers and music for the monologues, which they used to do a lot.
So many musical numbers in the monologues.
Oh
Yeah,
my
we used to
God.
do that.
Your favorite
It used to be a
monologue
thing.
song was the King Kong one you wrote with Jack Black. That was because Jack Black was so
100%.
good at singing.
Yeah, that was a great show that night. I just remember that being because first of all, Jack Black is the most game guy with talent that you can ever imagine. He's so much fun.
Jeff,
And,
I was living a weird parallel life down the hall at the Rosie O'Donnell show, which was very song parody heavy. So I was in the morning writing song parodies, teaching Martin Short or Billy Baldwin whatever song he was going to sing with Rosie. And our executive producer would always be like, why are you hugging Billy Baldwin in the hallway? And I'd be like, because he was nervous to sing a song and we got through it. But I remember I snuck into the rehearsal to see Jack Black rehearsing his song because I loved him so much.
Oh wow, that is so weird in a small world. We worked on the same floor. Sure, why not?
And Casey,
Seemed
was
that
that
way.
with Seth Rudetsky?
Yeah, Seth Rudetsky was there, but I went with Judy Gold. She snuck me in to see, because she was friends with Jack Black, so she brought me down to see Jack Black rehearse because I loved him so much. Yeah.
That's really funny too. I just talking about those monologues. It would be Lauren's thing. Well, Tina can jump in here, and you worked there too. But they were, You never knew what was going to happen with the monologue until like Friday night, and you'd be writing a song that would be have to come up the next day, and you'd have to get the band and chart a whole thing, and you were going to rehearse it at 11 o'clock in the morning on Saturday so it could air 12 hours later. It was crazy.
Do you feel like that job, that experience prepared you for Mean Girls, or do you feel like Mean Girls was always in you? You always wanted to write a musical. I want to ask about that because you guys, we can fast forward too. You guys, and then you left SNL, and then you started a production company together, and you had children.
Right.
And
Well, yeah, I would say Jeff he'd written musicals before. He had written musicals in Chicago from college on at Kent State. He had written in that form before.
like, what kind of musicals?
Well,
Such a pause.
I wrote a bunch of musicals. We had this musical version of Hamlet in Chicago that I wrote with my old writing partner. That was like, if Hamlet had been written by these two, like Tin Pan Alley guys on Broadway in the 1940s. Same
love
joke
that.
that their show was supposed to open December 12th. 1941. We all just keep doing the same joke over and over, and
that show ran forever in Chicago, and then ran at the Ars Nova here for a while, and it starred Jeff and our friend Michael Thomas and Alexandra Billings, who now people know from
Alexandra Billings, who's now Alexandra Billings,
who's now famous,
who was Alexandra Billings in 1991 when we first worked with her.
And you had a show called Lobo Go-Go that was...
Had a show that ran successfully in Chicago called Lobo Go-Go, which was kind of dealt with the lycanthropy in the Eisenhower period of our country. So werewolves in the 1950s, rock and roll. It was busy. We should bring it back. You would be so good in any musical. I'm seriously thinking that we should do this right now.
Okay. I'm into it.
I'm buying a ticket
I
already.
think Busy, you should be doing like an Attack of the 50-Foot Woman musical for Busy. I feel like that look would be amazing on her.
100%. She's gone.
She's gone, and now Tina's gone, guys.
She
I know this
disappeared.
you can't see, but she just flew away. She just ran out of the room. Wait, okay, so musicals were always you loved it.
It's so funny. Pivot. Yeah, I always assumed that I would be really, acting shows, whatever. I don't know if we're talking about me so much because she walked away.
She left.
Away.
She
well,
left
because
you.
you're interesting.
Well, it is interesting, and also, Jeff, I do want to say, as someone who is the more public facing of the two people who work in the same business, it is rare that the one who's not the more public facing one gets asked a ton of questions.
It's very true. So I've been, as you can, I'm ready.
You are ready, and I'm sensitive to it, and I'm
Thank you very
sensitive to
much.
it, clearly.
Because you've had to live with it as
but
well.
I do also think it's really interesting because I know, look, this past week has been so fun with Girls 5 Eva coming out and people having the reaction that they've had to it. And the thing that obviously is such a huge, huge, huge part of it is our music and the music that you put together for both the flashbacks and like the boy songs and New York Lonely Boy, which I think is, I told you, I think it's a real banger. I think it's a hit.
Yeah, people like that one. It's funny. I was going to say that everything we did for Girls 5 Eva was all just Second City was all. That was the training ground for that. Second City and Saturday Night Live and all those places where you'd have to write something quickly and be able to produce something quickly that sounded like something.
Oh.
So that was I feel like Girls 5 Eva, its lineage is all television. It's all that world. It's all creative music for this medium. And I think Broadway is such a different thing. Somebody asked me, and I think asked most of it, what is the difference between writing for this? And there's just so much more time to overthink and think about things on Broadway that you have none of that time on when you're writing for TV whatsoever, And I don't know that it gives you better results. I think sometimes I think
You don't?
I really don't. I think you can overthink something you could craft something to death until it lost all its till it lost anything that made it shiny.
Yeah.
I mean, we're huge Mean Girls fans in my home.
Yeah, I know. You guys, Busy, you were the first celebrity who saw it.
No,
I'm
I think
gonna go out on a limb.
well,
Is that true?
I went to the dress rehearsal. I went to the last dress. I was in town for that. So Mean Girls, and you're doing Kimmy Schmidt. You did the music for Kimmy too, which was like great music in Kimmy.
There's a lot of great music in Kimmy
30
too.
Rock?
30 Rock.
30 Rock.
Jeff scored
yeah,
scored
that's
30
all.
Rock. There's actually a 30 Rock album of the score that the late great
Score
producer
and
Hal
songs.
Wilner produced because he wanted to do that with Jeff, and that had some good small. Like there were a lot of Jane Krakowski sang a lot of very short, funny songs on 30 Rock.
Oh, that's right. I guess I kind of forgot about that.
Yeah, Tennis Night in America, the Mystic Pizza musical, which is now really happening.
What is?
A joke on 30 Rock, and now there really is a Mystic Pizza musical.
Mystic Pizza musical. Well, we had just made a joke about it, and she had to sing a song from the Mystic Pizza. Jenna Maroney did, and then we found out last year. Oh, they're doing it.
Well,
It was
wait, but guys, didn't you make a lot of jokes on 30 Rock that are now real?
Yes,
Tina, jump in. There's some good ones.
we did.
What are there any that are we can't talk about that feels
Yeah, usually it's
inappropriate?
not. If it came true, it wasn't great news.
I know there are a ton of them. It's like the thing about the way that you work, Tina, and I feel like Jeff, it holds true with the music that you do too, is that it is like there's a joke on a joke on a joke like that just keeps building and building and building, where even when I'm watching a show that I am in, I'm like, oh my God, I didn't get that until just now. You know what I mean? And I wonder if you guys feel like your comedic sensibilities have informed one another.
Yeah, I think it definitely between me and Jeff, and then also between me and Jeff and Robert, it has all influenced each other. My tendency, at its worst is to be like a little bit pokey on, or perhaps one might say strident on issues or topics or issues or topics, and then trying to coat that in jokes. But I think Robert brings that absurdity, which then once that's happened, like I remember, I just remember a vivid moment in the 30 Rock writers room where just this weird joke with Chris Parnell. It's like end of season 1. Alec has had a heart attack, and Liz finds out that she was actually in his phone as his emergency contact. So she shows up at the hospital, and his mother is there, and Emily Mortimer's his fiance, who he doesn't really like. And then Chris Parnell shows up. He's Dr. Spichemin. This is also absurd. But he had some joke where it was like, he shows up and he's covered in blood, and we're all like, oh no. And he's like, oh, don't worry. No, I was at a Halloween costume party. And in the room, Robert's like, don't worry, I was at a Halloween costume party. And then I said, in the room, and the hostess's dog attacked me. And then he said, so I had to stab it. It was just like and that's like the final joke. And it was just that, bringing out the worst in each other. And I think Jeff is, absolutely a part of that development of that sensibility. And now it's just trying to, I feel like my job is just always trying to keep a lid on it. I'm always saying, guys, if you have a joke here and a joke here, I'm holding up my fingers 1 inch apart. You don't need to put a joke here. Because it just becomes so I feel like my job is become joke removal.
Joke police.
Joke removal.
Joke removal.
Joke management specialist.
Joke management.
That's it, Casey. Joke management. Very true. Very true. You're good at it.
I get that. And I think that, Tina, I admire that because I feel like that has become my role too, as I've matured, and it's a thankless role, I feel like.
It's like a fun killer role. But I think
because there's never any proof that you were correct. You know what I mean?
Yes.
The only proof is if everybody goes against you and does it anyway, and it turns out bad, you can say, I told you guys.
And that's not a fun proof. But then you convince them to do it, but I do think with Girls Five Eva, because Meredith she is a joke machine. And there were definitely times where I was like, let it breathe. Or don't bend it, bend it, don't break it. And I hope that she feels good about the times that I sat on that, because I do think it just, with episodic, it just gives you a minute to care about people It lets you retain some boundaries on the universe, not many.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's one thing I've just consistently heard in the last week from people who've watched and loved the show is that they feel like that it is so funny. The music is so fucking great. And then also that it has so much heart and it like is you really care about the characters and you can't believe like I had a friend like a good friend who was like I couldn't believe that I was like misty about the whole thing at the like I was so rooting for them and I didn't even know it. Cynical TV asshole friend. You know what I mean?
I think that's twofold. I think that's the actors being warm and caring about each other and taking their stakes seriously. And then I think it's the score. Like, I think those two things can really combine to come get you, you know, like when the actors are playing everything real. Like when you discover Andrew's Crabitat and you play it so real, and then that moment is heavy.
So
busy
real.
that I was scoring that scene. I wasn't going to because it was so good. I'm not even. I gotta get. You're such a good actor, and it
so
comes
nice.
through. No, I'm serious. I mean, of course, I'm serious. I wouldn't lie about it. But that particular scene, I have watched it over and over, and I was saying, this is heartbreaking.
Nobody
so
has seen
real.
it more times than Jeff.
Nobody has seen any scene in this more times than me. That's true. Because when you score it, you're just okay. But I loved putting just enough music in that scene to wrench a heart just a little bit more. You know, that's what I would say about that. What were we talking about, though?
I don't know, but that's great. I love it.
Well, just talking about that's what like pushed everyone's emotional buttons. And I've been seeing, you know, I love social media. I know, Tina, you're not on social media so much, but I just keep seeing over and over people are like, these songs are real earworms. Like, I can't stop singing them. Everyone I know is like, I can't stop singing Girls Five Eva.
By the way, this would be a good time for me if I could, Busy, just to say I had a great team on this, and I knew when we went in the fall with this, I normally don't have a lot of additional people, but for this I didn't know exactly what we were going to do, and I didn't know exactly how Meredith was going to write it. Was this going to be a monkeys? Was there going to be a full song? Was the episode going to go and then arc to a song that was at the end of every episode? I had no idea, and I don't think she knew yet either. So Hanan Rubenstein, who was our additional arranger and mixer, so great, puts great sounds within, you know, the original arrangements. He can fluff those out. And Jack Grabau, my assistant, he was great. Giancarlo Volcano. Is that the most musical name you could ever?
These guys all have the coolest
He's
names.
and Mary Mitchell Campbell, who came in to help us sing.
Mary Mitchell was our essentially our vocal coach, helped us learn our parts, and by us I mean me.
Everybody needed it.
Well,
and we should
say, Jeff.
We should say there's an album in case you didn't know. If you've been loving the songs, you can also download it and listen to it while you get your steps in.
Yeah, there's fuller versions of songs.
Sure.
It's great.
At what point? Because there are so many songs in the show that are just the little snippets, and then at some point, Jeff was like, was it your idea, Jeff? Was it yours, Tina? Let's make some of these full-length songs. Let's record them and put them at the end, credit sequence.
Yeah, whose idea was that, ultimately, Jeff?
I believe that I was pushing from day one that we should be trying to get more full-length songs, because if you had a show with you guys in it and there was original songs, there would be people that would want to have that album or have a collection. They'd want those songs, and then people kind of get mad when you don't have them. So I was pushing that all along. But I do. There was at some point, I don't know, 3 or 4 episodes in shooting, maybe when we started to actually edit, that we went, there's a lot of credits on this first act. Can we do anything? And we decided that we would make a longer credit sequence for end credits and the Peacock would let us if we could put original material over it so people would watch. So that was the thing that actually made us have to do the thing that we wanted to do from the beginning.
And that was, I will say, that month in our household when Jeff was like, where he worked, 7 days a week for like a month, getting those songs
That was
done.
real
I would be
recently.
like,
Yeah.
kids are gonna make frozen pizza. You get like it was like
Well, busy, because you would come into ADR and then
Yeah.
suddenly you'd have to learn another song in the last minute. And this is ADR at the end. We're way done shooting.
Yeah.
It's in the can. Yeah, it was crazy.
It was crazy. I mean, I think, but it was like as soon as it started happening, I was like, yeah, obviously this is what has to happen. Like these songs are so good. What's your favorite one, Jeff?
Me? Oh, I don't know. There's so many ringers in there. I love them all. Splinky, I have to say, makes me feel great every time I hear it. You
do
guys
love it.
sound particularly great on it. I think you sound really great. I mean, you sound great on everything. I like 4 stars. New York Lonely Boy, though, has a place in my heart that I really enjoy that one.
I
Dream
love that
Dream
song
Girlfriends.
so much.
Come on, you guys sound great.
Dream Girlfriends, I think, is still my favorite. I do love Dream Girlfriends.
I love Dream Girlfriends too.
It's really funny.
Super, really funny.
Meredith is a funny lyricist.
Meredith
it turns out.
she's good lyricist. She's really funny. Go ahead, Tina. You were-
Turns out.
Well, just because you don't know, you don't know going in if people can translate that into lyrics.
So let me ask you guys this, because you with Robert Carlock, your partner, you guys all run your production company together, and I'm sure people bring you stuff all the time, writers from the staffs of your shows. I'm sure that Tina, don't make that face. Like, I mean, but how do you decide what ideas, who you want to work with, and what feels to you like it's something you can get behind?
I usually think one, is this a show I would want to watch? Which for sure Girls 5 Eva is does this idea, this pitch, does it feel fertile? Does it feel juicy? Like, oh, I can see this many episodes of this. Does it feel necessary? Is there anything resonating through it that makes it feel valuable to people, either to see themselves represented or to, in this case, like telling a story of women in their 40s and 50s finding their voice. Feels like it might be meaningful to people to hear. And then with the people, I think like, are they good people? Which Meredith 150% is. And can they do it?
Right.
I'd worked with Meredith
Can
for a
they
long
do
time
it?
and I knew that she could do it.
Yes.
Because somebody can be a straight up genius and not be able to run a show. There's so much to running a show.
Yeah.
Sometimes being a genius would actually be in the way, but in Meredith's case, she's lucky. She can do it.
No, she was perfectly. She's also. I also do think that and this is not. I mean, you don't have to be a mother to do anything, but I do think that if you are a mother, you're sort of already prepared to be a showrunner because you're used to people constantly tugging on every part of your body, asking you things and wanting things. And you have to make split-second decisions. And in the case of motherhood, it's life or death. And on sets, people think it's life or death, but it's really just about TV.
That's so true.
You know what I mean?
When you're a parent, you're living with other people in your head of well, when are they going to be hungry? And what are they going to need? And it is like that.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And you have to be sort of preemptive in the way that you move through the creative process, I think.
Yes.
Showrunners.
Yeah.
And Jeff, are you mostly just I don't like that idea because I can't write original music for it? Is that how you?
Well, is there a song? Is there a theme song? Is there a cool poster?
Jeff likes to work backwards from the poster. Which I think
Do you really?
Sometimes.
Always.
I mean, that's not a bad idea.
Well, you guys, honestly, with Blades of Glory, that was truly that was the start of the idea, basically. I was it's you see, it's Will Ferrell and Ben Stiller is on the billboard together.
Yeah.
I'm holding this up.
I
I'm
mean,
sorry.
sometimes,
Go ahead,
yeah.
finish your thought, but I had something funny to say.
Oh.
No.
Maybe we shouldn't do a drama.
That I thought that could have been interesting, but busy. Yours was so much more interesting.
No, wait, what was yours? What?
I just realized I was looking at this cup it's from a little coffee shop in New Hope, Pennsylvania. Uh-huh. And we think somebody build a house in New York, Pennsylvania under our name. It keeps popping up that
We went to New Hope one time, and
which is a charming little
looked at houses
town.
and didn't end up buying a house. And after that one time, I've had like 8 different people, like guys on the SNL crew, random people being like, "Hey, I heard you're building a house in New Hope," and I was like, "No, I'm not." Like so many people being like, "I heard you're building a house," and I was like, "Did someone take a mortgage out in our name? Is there some other lady with glasses who
It's
got
really
a mortgage
weird.
in my name?"
Then there was a newspaper article, and I think it came around the same time when everybody was leaving the city that cited that
Said that we
living
were
in
building
New
a house in New Hope. We are not.
Okay,
By the
well,
way, we're
guess
not.
what? There was like a realtor in upstate New York that like sold a story about me having a house up there. I think they do that because they're trying to generate their own real estate business.
I
Yeah,
think that's
maybe.
true.
So it might just be like, like a realtor is taking people out and they're like, who we were showing this property to is thinking about building a house here is Tina Fey. Like, you know who that
Who
is.
would give a shit? Who would be like, who would care? Who cares?
I guess people do.
I lived in Westport, Connecticut, which is, a suburb of New York City. And that would often happen, like if, say, who's the guy from 90210, the blonde, curly-haired?
Steve Sanders?
Steve Sanders. Yeah, like one time I saw...
But that's not his real name.
Yeah,
Ian
what's his-
Ziering.
Ian Ziering. Like one time we saw him in the diner in Westport, Connecticut, and then there was like a big rumor around town that Ian Ziering like moved to Westport, Connecticut. And I was like, what a boring day in Westport, Connecticut. But he was just like in the diner having pancakes, So that maybe that's what happened to you guys. I hope nobody built a house in your name.
I do. I hope they did.
Well, you should move into it. You should show up with your bags and move into it.
So are there more musicals in your future?
I want to hear your answer because we've never talked about this, so this would be a good time. I'd like to hear your answer first.
I mean, I would love to do it again. Yeah. I would want to start something original, I think.
I would do it again and go in so much smarter this time about knowing who to listen to and when to listen to people and when to really just trust your gut and when to really push what you... Tina made that glass.
Oh yeah, see this glass, you guys? I mean, the podcast.
She made that...
is
She
now-
blew that glass.
Did the glass blowing.
Yeah, we did glass blowing. Our nephew in Ohio is a talented glass blower. Anyway, this is boring for a podcast, but I'm drinking from a beautiful...
No, it's so cool.
No, it's very
beautiful.
cool. It's very cool.
Wait, hold
Tina
it up.
did-
I'll take a picture and I'll put it on the Instagram. Okay, ready?
Tina
1, 2,
did a
3.
glass blowing with her nephew. She went to visit
Very
her
cute.
nephew and did a glass blowing class with him, and she made a beautiful glass, and she's drinking out of it right now. I'm just going to narrate it because it's a podcast.
Guys, I have one more pivot though that we should talk about, which is letting your 9-year-old Penelope play my daughter on Girls Five Eva.
Talk about a pivot.
That's a
Because
real
Did
pivot.
you ever think?
I mean, did I ever think that maybe she would be an actress someday? 100%. But did I ever think that we would let one of our children do? Penelope did like a one-line thing on Kimmy Schmidt once when she was really small, like too small to even remember. I think, with Alice, because I think all kids go through a phase where they think that's what they want to do. I remember Alice and I, we went to see Pippin on Broadway and she was like, I want to do that. And I was like, that's fine. If you want to audition for theater, that's fine, because that you have to really work and have skills. Whereas the kid actor thing can just be like you are cute and then you just, your life is ruined. But so we always were very like strict about it with Alice. She was a photograph in one episode. She played young Liz Lemon in a couple photographs on 30 Rock. That was it. But then the pandemic happened. Everything was the pits. Distance learning was the pits. And this part came up and I thought, we're going to have to let Penelope audition for it, because if she hears that there was a 9-year-old and she didn't get to audition for it, she'll rage. And so, because she gets that from me, that temperament. And so
Classic Tina.
And so we let her put herself on tape. And then we were like, it was pretty good. And her line,
It was good. The audition was, first of all, I want to say this. I got to see the audition.
Yeah.
First of all, the audition was amazing. Secondly, Penelope did her own makeup for the audition because she was playing an influencer, like a makeup influencer. Obviously, you guys, if you've watched Girls Five Eva, you know that. And her makeup was so
amazingly crazy, like so 9-year-old, like crazy. I said to Busy. I think, if I was given this audition tape cold and it wasn't my kid, I would be like, who's this crazy little bitch? This makeup was bonkers, like just crazy eyeliner.
She looked insane.
And insane and adorable. But then, so we said, okay, well, great job. You did a good job. Obviously we're going to give it to a kid who's more experienced. And there was a lovely young woman who had also done a very good job. And we hired her. And then because of pandemic insanity, she had traveled to Michigan and the quarantine rules changed and she couldn't get back. And so we were like, well, all right, here you go, Eve Harrington.
Here you go, Eve. Eve
Harrington, right? She got to skip a day of distance learning and get her COVID test and come on set. And I have to say, she was super professional and polite, and she was prepared, and she did a very, very good job. And I think, Jeff, tell me if you agree, but I think she's very interested in I think she feels a part of the show, but she feels that way about Mr. Mayor too. She likes that we have these shows that are on TV now during her lifetime because 30 Rock means nothing to her. Kimmy Schmidt, she doesn't remember. But she hasn't been personally thirsty. She hasn't been bragging that she's on it. She just enjoys the episodes and wants to watch them. Pretty cute.
She's playing it cool.
Yeah.
She did a great job. She was
Thank you.
fantastic.
I have to say, I really enjoyed working with her. And actually, it's funny because I just want to say, Tina was, I wouldn't have been as on the fence as Tina you seemed to be. I would have been like, yeah, put him in, get her in there. But you were very much is this a good idea? Are you sure? And you kind of said to me, are you sure this is I don't know. I'm not, it makes me feel, my feeling was first of all, working with children, which I've done a fair amount of, is always so tricky because you're not just working with the kid, you're working with whoever their handler is, and then their parents are there. And it's a real roll of the dice, guys.
Yeah.
Because the kind of person who's able to or willing to give up their own life to take their kid to a million auditions and stuff is generally speaking, it's a lot is all I'm saying. So and plus I was really nervous about COVID and I knew how strict you guys were being. She left again, guys, just so you know.
This is
Tina's
really,
gone
I
again.
have to apologize.
It's fine. It's, you know what?
It's
she's
because my
back.
dog keeps banging on the door making noise, so I want to let him out.
That's all right. You have things going on.
But I was just I was so grateful to know that I knew that
Right.
the child playing my kid was not going to be out, not being COVID safe.
True. That is true.
Yeah. I've had a lot of very frank conversations with both our kids about what usually happens to child actors and how you can do this if you work for us, but you cannot go work for anybody else. It was you know how when you come to the set and everyone's so nice to you because your mom and dad work there, that would not be the case if your mom and dad did not work there. Because it can be rough.
One last thing, Tina, I just want to say that we didn't really get a chance to talk about it, but your Dolly Parton was fucking fantastic.
Thank you, Casey. Oh, Lord. It wasn't supposed to be me. And then sometimes you just gotta, I had to summon my SNL impervious to humiliation armor and just be I'm just going to take my shot.
It was amazing. I could just watch 6 episodes of you just doing that. Yeah.
Talk about commending people for doing fine.
No.
Well, I don't think that's true at all, by the way. But also, I want Dolly back season 2.
Well, I guess she lives in Dawn's head.
Dolly should be back and she should sing a song.
To go from, and it should be Melissa Villaseñor, because I didn't know Melissa. I found out Melissa did it on SNL the week after we filmed it, and I was like, son of a bitch! If I knew she could do it, I would have called her. To go from full pandemic, sweatpants, never leave the house, into full Dolly regalia was a real something. That was a lot.
A pivot? That was a real pivot?
Thank you.
A pivot for you, yeah. Just and also just like amazing timing. Like just Dolly like helped us get out of the pandemic. It like just a genius timing.
Yeah.
But yeah, you did such a great job. I'd tell you if you didn't.
Thank you, dear.
Was I supposed to be looking at this the whole time? Because I wasn't.
Well, it's a podcast.
Should we do it again?
Jeff, you did perfectly. You were
Okay.
you were a perfect guest, and it was so nice
Perfect.
to see you.
Guys, do you think we're going to get to do more Girls 5 Eva?
I mean, I can't see how we couldn't. That's a good question. I have no idea what cycle that's on.
Well, guys, very glad that you took the pivots and that when Jeff got that directing job, Tina really had to go for the job at SNL.
Due to her high ethical standards.
Her
In the
Chicago
improv community,
ethical standards.
Yes.
Did you ever feel, I have one more question and then I'm going to really let you go. were you ever concerned about, because it was just a different time, about having your kids, Tina, and like not, and like in the height, like in your career, like, oh God, what if I get.
No, I was a person who didn't really think about having kids until like 33, like something, it was so chemical that something kicked in. And before that I was like, maybe I was not driven to do it. And then had Alice and then Penelope. They're so far apart because I guess I just kept thinking like, well, maybe when 30 Rock gets canceled, we were always on the edge of being canceled. And I was like, well, maybe I'll try again after the show gets canceled. And then it just went on for 7 years. So then I was like 40, 41. I was like, I gotta go. I gotta try. So I was 41. No.
Well, Penelope is perfect.
She's perfect.
They
So
both
many
are
ways.
lovely.
They are.
Young
They're great
women.
kids.
I love that Busy was like, I just need to ask you one more question, then I'll let you go. And then she asked you like the biggest, deepest philosophical question you could ever ask a woman.
I was just curious because you have such a what?
I remember something about that in terms of like having it. Because I remember I did spin out a little bit about like, okay, I'm almost 40. This show's not ending. Like, do I try to have another kid? And I was shooting and there was like a hot minute. Oh, here's Penelope now. There was a hot minute where I was maybe going to do a movie with Meryl Streep. It never happened. But I was like, and I was shooting 30 Rock with, you have to be quiet. We're on a podcast. Okay. I was shooting 30 Rock with Matt Damon and we're just like chatting between takes. And I sort of was saying to him, like, what do I do? Should we try to have another baby real quick? Or I might do this movie with Meryl Streep. And, you know, being a family man, but also being a guy, he was like, what are you talking about? Have a baby. You always do a movie later.
Yeah.
He's so dumb. He doesn't know.
And then I think I got pregnant and then like was just keeping it to myself. And then the Meryl movie fell apart anyway. So
And then you told me.
he was kind of right. Like I shouldn't have put all my eggs in the Meryl basket. It didn't happen.
Yeah, and you know what? Meryl is still around.
She's still making movies.
So maybe Matt was right. Maybe he wasn't so stupid. Maybe he was right. No, I'm a firm believer in like, I just know that for so many of my friends, and especially like, I don't know, man, just when you're in that phase of your life and your career is like going up in your 30s, and then you do, it is a thing. It's a thing. You can't do movies. I actually got cast and then was told that I was uninsurable because I was pregnant and they fired me in one comedy movie when I was pregnant with Bird. And then I got fired from the How to Train Your Dragon voiceover and got replaced with Kristen Wiig. But that was, I think, just because they wanted.
How did you get fired
they allowed
from
to
a
do
voice?
that?
You just got, that wasn't due to pregnancy.
Well, I mean, I was pregnant, but I think it was, they just wanted her.
Lord. Well, anyway.
I was bummed.
Meryl Streep, if you're listening, I'm sure you probably are.
Let's go.
Tina Fey, please call her. That could be her
She's
next
ready.
pivot. She's ready.
She's ready. She's ready. Are you going to create another show for yourself to star in?
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't have, the biggest thing after 7 years, and that is the biggest mom thing too, of like being home when people wake up. like leaving the house at 5:20, whatever in the morning when your kids are not awake is not ideal.
No.
So I don't know. Maybe I'm just gonna pause and then like slide in Golden Girls style and like 10,
I'm with
15
you.
more years.
This is the thing that people don't understand when I say like I quit acting or whatever. It really isn't about quitting acting. It's that like I don't want to work that much while these people need me as much as they do. And also, and not only that, and they don't even probably really need me that much, but I just want to be around them.
Yeah, you want to be around them. And someone had told me years ago that it's easier when and I've told other people this, when they're tiny newborns.
Yes.
You can bring them everywhere. You can work. They need you more later.
Mm-hmm. You're just Phoebe Catesing it right now.
Yeah, I'm in
right?
my Phoebe Cates chrysalis.
Didn't Phoebe Cates like decide that she was gonna like
I'd like to say
chill?
I'm Rick Moranising it.
You're Rick Moranising it.
In like a
You're
couple ways.
Skeet Ulrich too. But now he's back because his kids are grown.
There you go. That's
True. We're just naming people.
All right, Casey. That's not how we do a podcast? Okay.
Well, I'll tell you, mine are older and they will, there's going to come a time when, they're going to live on the other side of the country. That's what I can tell you. You'll never hear from them.
That feels weird.
Except for once a week.
If you're lucky.
Once a week's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm going to say if you're lucky.
Yeah.
All right, guys, go enjoy your dinner. I'm going to go have a margarita.
Have a nice weekend.
Have a great weekend, everyone.
Thank you so much for making time for us.
Yeah, thank you.
Anytime.
And thanks for giving me all these jobs that you've given me and believing in me in ways that defy my own belief in myself, guys, both of you.
I'll never stop.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. I've been getting like annoyed in my interviews when they're like, they just read the one line thing. And they're like, Summer, the least talented of the thing. And I was like, I really think that people believe the things that they're told about themselves. And I think maybe that was just a thing that she believed about herself and that she really is talented. Like, I just like can't handle it. Anyway,
Girls 5 Eva on Peacock. Well, you go to the App Store, you search Peacock, you download it. It's $5 a month. You can only get the first one free. Then pay the $5, get the rest of them.
Then you can cancel.
Then you get the off, and then you cancel it. I don't care. No, I do care. I do care. I work for the company. I care.
We do care. Well, that was fantastic. A delight.
You know what? RE, the sound issues, I found it like weirdly soothing. I'm going to be honest. I felt like it was like cocoon-like and relaxing.
Well, also, guys, we've talked about it before on the show. Tina is a soft talker. She's a soft talker. I didn't mention it in the interview, but I hope she doesn't get mad at me saying this. But every time I've had a meeting with her, she's laying down on her sofa in her office. Oh, wait, you forgot to talk about that. I told you I wanted you to talk to her about that.
I know, but we were having the sound issues. But every time I go into the office, she works very hard. That's the thing. Uh-huh. And so every time I've only had like a few like meetings with her. I've met her millions of times, but obviously, like I've only had like a few scheduled meetings where it's like 4:00 and you go into her office, and every time she's been like, "Oh, hello, I'm just laying
really
down."
Funny. That is really fucking funny. Ugh. Well, guys,
do you guys like this? Is this a good podcast?
Okay, wait. I want to tell you something.
What?
I made a decision.
What?
I'm going to buy a fake fiddle fig tree. I can't keep it alive. It's not in my DNA. And I'm done with having this fucking plant make me feel bad about myself.
Can I tell you something? My pulse is literally racing from how you set up whatever that decision was. I don't know what I thought it was, but buying a fake tree was not it. That was not the payoff for the setup that I was expecting.
Really? What did you think I was going to say?
I did not know. I didn't know, but that was not what I was expecting. I'm relieved.
You're very nervous.
I was like, I didn't know what I thought you were going to say. You were going to like, I don't know.
Shock you. I was going to shock
I
you.
thought you were about to shock me. I thought you had a real shocker on deck for me. Okay. Do you have a fake fiddlehead fern tree in mind?
Well, I did some research.
Okay.
And it seems like World Market is the one that people think is the best
Okay.
fake.
Okay.
And I may just take a little trip over the bridge to Brooklyn and just pick it up. I might see.
Good.
What's just throw it in the car.
Yeah, you shouldn't. Don't let a tree make you feel bad about yourself.
Well, I don't know, guys, if you're out there and you too have tried to jump on the hipster train of having a fiddle fig tree in your house. I like having some green around, but the problem is I cannot keep that fucking tree alive. It has been an exercise in futility and an exercise in making me feel bad about myself. So yeah, I'm done. I'm out.
One time
Done.
my mom got me a Tamagotchi. Do you know what those are? The little toy.
Obviously, Casey.
Yeah.
Come on.
But like in the 1990s, I was an adult and like I'm not even like a real gadget girl, but like because my mom got it for me, I like did the fucking Tamagotchi like constantly. And then one night I went out and like I had some drinks, which was not very normal for me to do. And then like I slept in the morning because I had a hangover. And when I woke up in the morning, my Tamagotchi was dead and I was like sick. I was like sickened because I let my Tamagotchi die. I felt horrible. And like I had to confess to my mom that I let my Tamagotchi die. And then I was like, what am I doing? What is wrong with me? What am I doing? I'm an adult. This is not a real thing.
Well, the plant is real.
But it's not
You know?
like it's not a cat.
No, that's true. The cats are still alive.
Yeah, exactly.
And
If the plant could tell you what it needed to stay alive, I'm sure you would give it to it.
right. That's true.
You know?
That's true. That's true. Why can't plants just talk?
Although there is this app, if you do have plants
boy.
that you are trying to keep alive, there is this app that my husband has called Picture It. I think Picture It or Picture This, that you take a picture of the plant and it can A, tell you what the plant is, but B, I think it also tells you like what's wrong with the plant. So I don't know, but just saying. And I think it's also kind of weirdly expensive. I think it's a terrible name and I think it's like expensive for an app, but if you're like a real plant bitch, it's maybe worth investing in. That's all I'm going to say.
I don't know if I'm going to, I think I might just go for the
yeah, just get the fake one. Who
fake
cares?
ones.
Yeah.
I mean, Rebecca was delightful.
I love her. She's such a nice person. Here's how you know how much I like her, because she's such a great writer and I'm like not even bitter about it. You know? Mm-hmm. Not even mad about it because I like her so much. Usually I'd be mad about it. Kind of, but she's so nice. So we are doing the deepest sighing that we've ever done on the podcast.
It's just hard.
Yeah.
It's all hard.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm feeling like a lot of it right now. This second.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Are you feeling it? I don't know.
Lady. I mean, I have to just make it through Sunday and then I just have to, yeah.
You're going to make it through Sunday.
We'll see.
I think you will.
We'll see.
I have to say, like, also just like, don't know if you went through this thing with your boys, but like, I just really see Birdie not being a kid anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it just is hard for me. It's just really hard.
Yeah.
I know this is what happens, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's hard.
It's hard. Here's what I will say, and I hope he doesn't mind me saying, I don't think he will mind me saying that with my older son, there were some challenges where I was just so happy that he had gotten to the place where he had grown up, that I was thrilled.
I know. And also same, like I feel really, I don't know. It's part of what's like difficult about my feelings about being here and not in LA.
Yeah.
Which is that I really do believe that this is the best thing for this kid and probably for cricket too, if I'm being real. And then also I do hope that Girls 5 Eva goes for at least another year.
I hope so too. But I also hope, here's what I'll say to you. And I know I'm not trying to like make you not feel your feelings, because that's the worst. When you're having feelings and somebody's like, no, look on the bright side. Like, you don't want to look on the bright side. You want to feel your feelings, and you should be able to. But I hope you're able to enjoy the success of Girls 5 Eva right now and not worry too much about whether or not it gets picked up, because like whether or not it does, that's someone else's decision. That's not your decision. And like, if they're smart, if they're sane, it will get picked up. But the part that you controlled, how great it was, you did that. No, you smashed it.
No, I know. And I'm really thrilled with that. Just like, it's just like the thing that like people just never fucking tell you about life is that it's just never one thing. It's just never one thing. It's like you have to hold that. It's the same conversation over and over again about different in different ways, but you have to hold all of these different things. I am super excited about Girls 5 Eva and like even the response that it's gotten, and it was super fun to do and really hard, but like really fun, and I'm glad that it's out in the world in the way that it is. And also like I just have other personal stuff that's like hard, and then moving here is weirdly hard.
Yeah.
But also I'm happy about certain aspects of it, but it's hard not to be sad about certain aspects of it. And I think that like when you're a kid or a teenager, when you're growing up, I think that we all have this idea that like you hit a point in some way, somewhere as an adult where you're like, this is it.
It's like,
it's
easy
you know what I mean?
now.
It's all good. It's all good. And it's just like never fucking is.
When my son was like 7, I think like part of his doctor wanted him to be on like a certain diet because he was like sensitive to certain foods or whatever. And I remember him being like, when I'm 17 years old and I have my driver's license and my own part-time job, I'm going to go and get pizzas anytime I want to. And I just remember him being like that was his demarcation. Like, I will live my life the way that I want and no one can stop me. And, and I think that we all kind of feel that way. Or like that Beach Boys song, like, wouldn't it be nice, if we were older and we could like, they're basically saying like, wouldn't it be nice if we could spend the night together and not have to like answer to anyone and everyone, that we all like have our friggin' dreams, but you don't think about like, wouldn't it be nice if we could spend the night together and pay a fucking mortgage and raise our kids and do, just all this bullshit.
And our kids have their own lives and issues, and then also our parents do as well, and
our kids are trying to get away from us and thinking about when they're older and they can spend the night with other people, and it's like it's never ending.
It's fucking never ending.
It's never ending. But I will say this, Ari, also your kids getting older, I just think that I think you have some amazing times ahead of you with your kids. That's what I'll say.
I think so too. I do think that's true. I do think that that's true. I know that's true.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of the things that have been frustrating and challenging will be so worth it. And so that's what I think. Knock on wood. That's what I hope. I hope you've worked so hard
I just knocked on wood.
Just knocked on wood. You've worked really hard as a parent. You've put in the work. Everybody at home, you've been putting in the work as a parent. You know, I hope that it pays off for you all to, that, you know, that your kids love you and see you as the hardworking people and loving people that you are, and that, you know, and that they know that you see them as hardworking and loving people that they are.
And also just that, like, I have to be better about knowing that, like, it's just never going to be the thing where it just isn't. I have to just, like, be able to hold all of the things and not lose sight of the good shit. Because what ends up happening is that, like, I get overwhelmed with the other stuff, and then I'm like, I lose sight of what's great. You're right.
Yeah.
I do that.
Well, you know how you always say that you are like a witch and you write stuff down, you write things
Yes.
down that you want?
Yes. Yes.
Maybe you need to, like, put another piece of paper to the side and write down the things that are great when they happen.
Okay. Yeah, I can do that. I really can. I should. You're right. That's good. Also, by the way, Gina has her, like, mouth warts, and we finally got her on. Did I tell you about these?
No,
Did we talk about this?
No.
Fucking Gina got mouth warts from doggy daycare and just DPV. It's not HPV, right? Because that's human papillomavirus. So it's got to be DPV.
Dog papilloma virus?
It is
Yeah.
papilloma virus.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you can't get them from dogs. Thank God.
That's good.
Because she does lick our faces a lot, and that would be
Yeah,
gross.
that's
But
rough.
anyway, she's got these, like, dog warts on her mouth. Finally took her to the vet. She needed some vaccinations too.
Yeah.
And so then they gave her, like, she's going to do antibiotics to see if it'll help with the warts. Because I guess you kind of just have to wait it out, or you can do a Z-Pack essentially.
Yeah.
Okay. So she's, like, on day 3 of the antibiotics. But then they called me and they're like, she tested positive for not Lyme, but, like, this other tick-borne disease.
Damn, Gina.
I know. But they don't know if she's, like, got it, or if she just, like, has the antibodies. So listen, now we all know the lingo. We had to take her back and have more blood taken for a PCR test. PCR, guys.
Yeah.
To see if she's got the thing. I can't remember what it's called. But if she does have it, we have to get her on antibiotics immediately. Like, it could like cause it, she could die.
No.
Yes. It's like a blood thing, like a blood disorder or something can cause them to bleed out. And then I just have been crying about that. Like, my Gina. And then, like, her little mouth looks so gross.
When are you
But
getting the
it's
test
okay.
results back?
I mean, hopefully today or tomorrow.
And then aren't they putting her on the medicine preemptively?
No, because he's like, it could just mean that she did get, like, when she had she had a tick.
Yeah.
Remember when she had the tick?
Yes.
So I assume that was the tick that caused this.
Yeah.
Although who knows?
But
Anyway,
if you're worried that she has this disease and she's going to die from it, can you not say it would make me feel better if she got on these antibiotics preemptively until we get the results of this? And then would that hurt her?
Oh, that's a good question. But she's already on the Z-Pack for the warts. So, but I think it's like doxycycline that you give them for the other thing.
I say call the vet and ask what you can do to make you stop worrying that Gina's going to die.
Okay. I am worried.
Because sometimes
I am very worried.
Sometimes vets are numbskulls, and they're not thinking about how you're sitting at home crying, worried about what's going to happen to your girl.
She's just such a good dog.
Of course she is. She's a good girl.
I know. She's a good girl. She's so sweet. We cuddle every morning before we get up.
Yeah.
But she's so good because she knows that she can't crowd me at night, you know? She sleeps on the ground or at the foot of the, like on the little bench at the foot of the bed.
My old dog, Frito Pie, always crowded me at night. He was white, and I called him the tampon because he would just be up my vag so
Oh
hard.
my God, Frito Pie, get out of there.
Just as much as he could.
Well, guys, I don't know. Was this a downer? Maybe this episode was a downer.
No,
I'm sorry.
I think it's a fine episode.
I didn't eat a salad during it, so that's good. I'm going to eat one right now. I do have one waiting for me, just FYI. And I want you to know that Mark and Ray texted and said, "Do you want your salad?" And I didn't respond.
Oh, wow.
Because I thought, well, I do, but I'm not going to do it. Also, I felt like Rebecca was like a guest that I don't know well enough to try to shovel food into my face while she's here.
Interesting.
What do you mean interesting?
No, that's interesting.
Guys, listen, we love you so much. We're going to keep doing our best. I'll keep you posted about Gina. I know now everybody's going to be worried about Gina.
Let's try not to worry about Gina. We love you, Gina, if you're listening. We'll talk to you next.
She's not a podcast listener. She doesn't love him. She just doesn't love him, Casey. She's not interested.
We'll talk to you next week. We love you.
Love you guys. Bye.
Bye.
I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing my best.
Oh no.